Can you believe this gorgeous, high-class girl is actually selling her body for personal gain? She's a girl from the countryside who came to the city for school. Things would have been fine if Kay wasn't tired of her family's poverty and wanted to enter high society and live a luxurious life. She figured it would be a waste not to use her naturally beautiful looks. Kay confidently walked into a fancy restaurant and had a luxurious dinner with a handsome foreign guy. The guy was super happy to see Kay. Her fluency in foreign languages and polite behavior at the table only made him fall for her even more. He wanted to hang out a little longer, but got interrupted by a phone call. While he stepped out to answer the phone, Kay happened to run into an old acquaintance. Kay greeted him very skillfully, saying she was having dinner with a client. Seeing the longing in his eyes, she could tell he really wanted to know if she was still working at the nightclub. Kay quickly said that she's working abroad now and has long left that whole scene behind. However, to keep him from being too disappointed, she said if he had time, they could hang out a little. How enthusiastic! Before he could even celebrate, his wife came over and put her arm around him, staking her claim. The guy could only hurriedly introduce Kay as an acquaintance's niece. After a quick greeting, they went back to their own seats. As night fell, Kay skillfully lit candles and carefully put on some soothing music. Standing in front of the foreign guy, she carefully took off his shirt. What followed was not a scene for children. Kay was climbing the ladder to success with her body, unaware that a tragic end awaited her. Although the work was busy, the pay was worth it. Counting the money in her hand, the corners of her mouth curved into a smile. The next day, Kay solemnly went to see her foreign friend off at the airport, only to unexpectedly run into a high school friend. Seeing her and the guy hug goodbye, the friend walked over and asked if that was her boyfriend. Kay quickly explained that he was her foreign language teacher, and she was currently a tour guide. Knowing he was visiting Thailand, she came specifically to see him off. Unexpectedly, the friend had ulterior motives, wanting to find a private place to chat. But Kay had just made a good amount of money, so she wasn't too interested in this guy. She lied and said she was very tired from traveling yesterday and wanted to go home to rest. The friend eagerly offered to take her home. The two went out to a fancy car in front of the lobby. Kay looked a little surprised, and the friend revealed a cunning look, asking Kay if she liked it. He then opened the door for Kay like a gentleman. Sitting in the luxury car, Kay glanced at her old classmate, secretly devising a plan in her mind. Arriving at a high-end apartment, the friend eagerly wanted to take her upstairs, but Kay refused. She thanked him for taking her home, and didn't forget to playfully tease him, saying they could meet up sometime when they're free. The friend was overjoyed and happily drove away. After waving goodbye, Kay didn't go upstairs but instead dragged her luggage towards the slum in the back. In this complex slum, a girl in a gorgeous dress and beautiful face walked in, with graceful and captivating steps. She immediately attracted the attention of all the men on the street. Even the old man next to her couldn't help but stare. The girl showed contempt for these kinds of men, but there was nothing she could do. She hadn't graduated yet, so she had to temporarily stay at her aunt's house. As soon as Kay walked in, her aunt blocked her way, scolding her for disappearing for 2 days, making her worry about Kay's safety. After saying that, she told Kay to go inside and said that she hadn't paid the living expenses for 3 months. Kay was too lazy to argue with her aunt, so she pulled out a wad of cash from her bag, handing it over to her aunt before it even got warm. Seeing the money, the aunt immediately changed her attitude and told Kay to quickly go to her room to rest. But as she entered the bedroom and was about to open the door, she discovered that it was already open. Without thinking, she knew it was that perverted old man. Kay suppressed her anger and wearily dragged her luggage into the room. Seeing a letter on the table, Kay thought something good had happened, but to her disappointment, she discovered it was a debt collection notice from the bank. Feeling disappointed, she turned to look at the clothes rack next to her, remembering that she had to meet her backup guy later. Kay took out a beautiful outfit and took a hot shower. After changing her clothes and going into the bathroom, Kay showered while analyzing the situation. She didn't expect her friend, who was usually humble, to have a hidden identity as a young master when she first came home. She definitely had to get closer to him during this time. As she was thinking about the good things, Keo suddenly felt like there were eyes staring at her from somewhere, but she didn't see anything strange when she looked around. Meanwhile, her best friends Cha-La and Chorn had arrived at the meeting point early. Seeing Chorn in a very handsome suit, Cha-La couldn't stop complimenting him, and even reached out to help him adjust his collar. The naive Chorn didn't realize Cha-La's intentions, and even said that Keo bought his clothes for him. Then he asked Cha-La why she was still dressed like this. As the two were joking around, Keo arrived in a fashionable outfit and deliberately mocked them for flirting. The innocent Chorn thought his goddess was jealous, so he didn't dare to say anything more. Cha-La was also confused, knowing that Chorn belonged to Kame, and that no one dared to steal her things. Seeing Cha-La dressed casually, Keo told Cha-La to go home and change because today she wanted to take them to a fancy restaurant. But Cha-La thought she looked fine like this. No wonder her crush never looked her way. Cha-La noticed that Keo was carrying an expensive bag, and advised her not to waste money. Unexpectedly, Keo shared a secret with them. She rented the bag, and for just a little money each month, she could exchange it for a different designer bag. On different occasions, it could make others look up to her. However, Cha-La didn't agree with Keo's view at all. Seeing the two starting to argue, Chorn quickly mediated. Afterwards, the three of them went to a high-end restaurant. Even the menu looked luxurious. Chorn touched the money in his pocket and asked how much it cost to eat here once. Seeing Chorn's appearance, Keo said that she was treating this time. After saying that, she ordered a steak. In a high-end restaurant, even the service was different, and the food was quickly brought to the table. Seeing Chorn not even knowing how to use the utensils, Keo encouraged him to come to places like this a few times, and he would know. All her attitudes showed that she and the two of them were not on the same level. Cha-La, who was beside her, couldn't stand it and excused herself to go to the restroom, but unexpectedly brought a big trouble to Keo. In a high-end restaurant, the girl accidentally bumped into a woman, causing the red wine to immediately wet the expensive coat. The woman was extremely angry, scolding Cha-La. "Can't you watch where you're going?" Cha-La quickly apologized to the woman, saying it wasn't intentional. But she didn't care. The coat cost over 35 million, so the girl had to compensate her. Just then, Keo heard the commotion and also stepped out to assess the situation. She realized it was Cha-La's fault, so Keo wanted to apologize on Cha-La's behalf. But this woman was extremely shrewish, losing her temper and not giving anyone any face, and exaggeratingly said, "Do you know who I am? You don't want the toast, so you want to challenge me?" Seeing this, Keo wasn't going to take it either, and immediately showed that she wasn't easy to mess with. As the two were about to start a fight, the restaurant manager hurriedly ran over and whispered to her, "This girl in front of you is acquainted with the ambassador." Seeing that the other party wasn't easy to bully, the woman had no choice but to let it go and return to her table. Keo didn't forget to comfort Cha-La and didn't blame her either. But she didn't know that this incident was about to bring her big trouble. The honest Chorn beside her was a little melancholy. He didn't know what was behind Kame, how Keo was acquainted with the high-ranking ambassador. Keo looked scared at this moment. She lied and said she had helped the ambassador translate documents before. Chorn felt secretly lucky. If it wasn't for Kame, they wouldn't have gotten away so luckily today. The three of them raised their glasses and ate and drank their fill. But when they were about to leave, Keo didn't seem to want to go home. Chorn kindly said that if she didn't want to go home, they could take a walk. Unexpectedly, she was rejected by Kame. She told Chorn to take Cha-La home first, and she had to pick up tourists. Seeing Chorn's worried look, Keo said that Cha-La's house was far away, and if she didn't go home early, her mother would get angry. She also didn't forget to hold Chorn's hand, saying that if they had time in a few days, the two of them would have a date. These intimate actions made Chorn feel very sweet and obediently listened. Seeing Cha-La go outside, Keo said goodbye to the two and went to make money. But neither of them expected that, shortly afterwards, Keo appeared in a luxurious nightclub, dressed sexy and with a high-class aura. Keo immediately became the center of attention as soon as she walked in, attracting countless men inside. And she was too familiar with this scene. Keo didn't care about those men and went straight inside. The nightclub's madam was teaching her subordinates at this time. Seeing Keo walk in, she immediately changed her attitude, kindly asked Keo to sit down, and asked how the foreign guy from last time was. Keo seemed to still not be satisfied, saying that European and American men were really attractive. The madam understood as soon as she heard it and smiled slyly. From her bag, she took out a stack of money, saying this was the fee from last time. Taking the money, Keo stuffed it straight into her bag. The madam was a little surprised to see Keo take it without counting it. And Keo also took this opportunity to flatter her a few words. She said she was very relieved and trusted the madam. This obedient appearance made the madam very happy, saying she would take her out to meet a boss who came today. The two went to the VIP seats in the nightclub. At this time, a selection had just ended outside. The girl named Orn won the championship, and was naturally assigned to the most lucrative table. But before she could even warm her seat, the madam took her to the VIP area. A casual glance stole the man's soul. Regardless of Orn's obstruction, the guy put down his glass and walked to Keo's table, wanting to invite her over for a bit. Seeing the fish had bitten, Keo quickly said that she wasn't from around here. She was only for internal members, and if they wanted her service, they had to become a high-level member. Hearing this, the guy immediately expressed that he wasn't short on money. Keo was very happy because she was about to get a large sum of money and excused herself to leave. But as soon as she walked out the door, the man from before ran out, using the excuse that it wasn't safe at night, wanting to personally drive her home. But before Keo could refuse, Orn ran up from behind, afraid that her only chance at a good deal would be snatched away. But the man didn't care at all, pushed Orn away, and went to the parking lot. Seeing this scene, Keo revealed a look of contempt. Orn was extremely angry, grabbed Keo's hair with one hand, wanting to give Keo some scratches on her face. Fortunately, Sister Gu came over and scolded the two to let go. This biased look made Keo even more smug, saying she didn't steal anyone's clients. Moreover, this man was old and ugly. Seeing Orn angrily go back to her room, Keo and Gu also said goodbye and went home. But as soon as she walked in, she saw the fat man standing in front of the door. He irritably asked why Keo was home so late. Keo didn't want to argue and said she went out to play with friends. After saying that, she wanted to go to her room to rest, but the man blocked her way, saying that girls shouldn't come home late and reeked of alcohol. If she encountered a bad person, it would be too late to regret it. He said that, but that disgusting hand touched Keo's shoulder, and said he would take care of her more from now on. Keo was scared and quickly ran into her room and closed the door, hating that she couldn't slap this old man in the face. Thinking about how he had just reached out and touched her, Keo immediately felt nauseous. She immediately wanted to take a shower. First, she changed her towel. Keo went to the bathroom and began to pour bucket after bucket of water over her body. But this time, she felt that there was an intense gaze staring at her. It was scary to feel like someone was watching her while she was showering. Feeling uneasy, she opened the bathroom door slightly to look, but there was no one outside. Keo thought she was imagining things. After showering and returning to her room, she didn't pay attention when closing the door that the old man was hiding behind it. Keo was startled and dropped her towel, scolding him for what he wanted to do. Unexpectedly, he gradually approached Keo, saying he really wanted to take care of her. While saying that, he cornered Keo. Keo couldn't believe he dared to be so bold, at his age and still an old ox wanting to graze on young grass. Fortunately, at the critical moment, the ant selling groceries suddenly called him to move goods, scaring him out of his wits, and he hurriedly ran out of the room. After experiencing this fright, Keo didn't want to stay in this dilapidated place anymore. Looking down at the house for sale advertisement in the magazine, it was too expensive for her to afford. But remembering the scene just now again, Keo swore to herself that she had to quickly make money to buy a house. The next day, Keo went to work at a car exhibition. A row of luxury cars made Keo fall into a frivolous game. Unable to resist, Keo took out her phone to take 2 commemorative photos. Her fair skin and delicate face, even the manager couldn't help but praise. The manager clapped his hands to gather the car models, arranging the next work. Based on her beautiful appearance, the task of giving flowers to the leaders was assigned to Keo. Then he told everyone to start preparing for work. Keo turned her head to look at the bouquet of flowers she would give to the leaders later, and took out her phone to take a picture. Looking at the number of likes on Instagram, Kay was very happy. At this time, the car exhibition also officially began. The manager reminded Kay to remember to give the flowers to the leaders later. Kay kept assuring that she was ready. At this time, a guy in a luxurious suit hurriedly ran over. Kay looked him over and asked, "Are you here to participate in the exhibition?" Naka looked up at Kay, and he was immediately captivated by Kay's stunning beauty and couldn't say a word. Naka was curious because she called him by his correct name. Kay explained that she would be the one to present him with flowers later. At this time, Naka was a little dazed and said, "You're more beautiful than the flowers." Praised by the wealthy Naka, Kay also showed a little shyness. This affectionate look made Naka, who was already in a daze, feel like he was flying away. At this time, the MC had introduced the leader. The two went to the VIP table. Kay turned her head and unexpectedly saw an old enemy, the woman she had argued with at the restaurant last time. Kay was confused as to why she was here when she heard the MC invite the owner of the car fleet to speak. Then she saw the woman walking towards Naka. This time Kay was a little panicked, not expecting to run into such a big shot, and the handsome guy she had just met was her son. This made Kay's mind a little fuzzy. Naka didn't know anything and still didn't forget to give Kay an affectionate look. But Kay was now extremely confused. After the lady finished speaking, she invited her son to the stage. Kay also followed behind to give him flowers. Naka was still immersed in beauty, taking the opportunity to touch her body a little while Kay was giving him flowers. But all of this was seen by that lady. The woman immediately recognized the girl she had a conflict with at the restaurant. But she couldn't lose her temper in public. As for Kay, after knowing the lady's identity, she didn't dare to act rashly. Kay lowered her head and didn't dare to look at her, and hurriedly went downstairs after giving the flowers. After learning that Naka was the lady's son, Kay was a little worried. Later, Kay went to a luxury car, not knowing that Naka was now immersed in love for the girl in front of him. The girl stood in front of a luxury car, her beautiful body attracting photographers. Naka nearby was fascinatedly looking at her. Just as Kay also turned her face out, the two eyes met, flashing with love. The girl shyly lowered her head. This adorable look made the guy even more infatuated. At this time, a foreign friend came over, politely wanting to take a picture with Kay. Seeing her communicate in foreign languages fluently, Naka liked this girl even more. Seeing her go into the break room, Naka followed, seizing this opportunity. He gave Kay a bottle of water, saying that he saw her working hard taking care of customers just now. Kay cleverly pretended to be surprised, but hearing Naka say that he was the owner here, so he had to take care of the customers, Kay showed a disappointed look. "So I don't have anything special, I'm just like everyone else being taken care of." But this action immediately put Naka in a difficult position. He hurriedly explained that he didn't mean that. Then he asked if Kay was still in school, and said that she could come to his company to work when she graduated in the future. Seeing the fish hooked, Kay was very happy. Unexpectedly, she saw the lady coming over, and she was worried in her heart, so she turned her face to the side. But of course, she was still recognized by the lady. The lady began to mock, pretending to be a rich socialite at the restaurant, but in reality, she was just a low-level worker. She also maliciously said to her that dressing up so elaborately must have an ulterior motive. After saying that, she told her son to leave, warning him not to get involved with this type of woman. Kay finished her work and quickly went home. Those words from just now almost turned Kay into trash. She endured the humiliation. For the luxurious apartment, Kay didn't want to give up. She hesitated at the car dealership waiting. Seeing Naka coming, she hurriedly pretended to walk away. As expected, as soon as Naka saw her, he hurriedly called her back. The two once again had the opportunity to talk privately. Kay said that she was a little hungry and wanted to go out to eat. As for Naka, standing in front of the beauty, he had long thrown his mother's words to the back of his head. He told Kay to wait for him for a bit. He knew there was a delicious restaurant nearby, and they would try it together after work. But this time Kay refused, instead asking for the exact address, saying that she could go alone. After saying that, she walked out, but in reality, she had already grasped Naka's psychology. Sure enough, Naka lied to his mom about going home, saying he had to eat with a client, then drove to the restaurant. Everything was according to Kei's plan. Seeing Naka arrive, Kei pretended to look at the menu. Seeing Naka sitting in front of her, she immediately showed a surprised expression, curiously asking why he was here. Naka then said, "How could I let a beauty eat here alone?" At this time, Kei's phone had a message. It turned out that Chorn had made an appointment to meet today, but looking at Naka in front of her, Kei pretended not to see the message. The dishes were placed on the table, and the two elegantly tasted the food. She thought today would be a beautiful meeting, but a white car drove up. A storm was brewing. A beautiful girl came in, throwing the bouquet of flowers in her hand onto the table. Naka looked up and was surprised that it was his girlfriend studying abroad in Paris. He was surprised and asked why she was here. It turned out that his girlfriend had specially come from faraway Paris to congratulate him on opening the car dealership. But as soon as she met him, she saw him flirting with another girl. At this time, the guy immediately said that Kei was his customer, and the two were discussing work. But his girlfriend looked at Kei and decisively said that she couldn't afford to buy a car in the store. Seeing the two arguing, Kei knew that today's chance to approach the young master was ruined. But how could Kei give up such a delicious piece of cake? She then stood up and prepared to leave. Before leaving, she didn't forget to leave her wallet in the corner. In the face of her girlfriend's accusations, Kei pretended to be wronged and stood up to apologize to her, saying not to let her cause a rift between the two. After saying that, she walked out. On the other side, his girlfriend was still furious. Naka hurriedly calmed his girlfriend, but his eyes glanced at the wallet that Kei left behind, and he was secretly happy in his heart. Taking advantage of his girlfriend not paying attention, he quickly put the wallet in his pocket. After comforting his girlfriend to go home, Naka couldn't wait to take out the wallet. Inside, there was indeed Kei's contact information. He began to think of ways to get to know her. Kei on this side got her wish and didn't care about being alone. She called Chorn, lied that she got off work early, and asked if he wanted to go eat with her. Chorn was studying and received an invitation from his goddess. His heart was already soaring to the sky, immediately agreed, happy as crazy, but didn't see Kei's disgusted expression on the other end of the line. Then the two went to the appointed restaurant. This place was truly worlds apart compared to the high-end restaurant last time. But seeing Chorn was very happy, Kei couldn't bear to discourage him. She could only say that she really liked the environment here. Seeing Kei's sad expression, Chorn cared, and being able to solve the difficulties for the goddess was his honor. Coincidentally, he said exactly what Kei wanted. Taking the opportunity, she said that she didn't want to go back to that house anymore. That old man wanted to take advantage of her every day. Seeing the wronged appearance of the goddess, Chorn was even more outraged. But if not there, then where? Kei took this opportunity to talk about wanting to buy a house, but her savings weren't enough. She also didn't have a stable job. She could only wait for Chorn to graduate, then borrow his name to buy it for her. This seemed to have become the goal of buying a house to get married. Needless to say, how happy Chorn was, and he immediately agreed. As long as he graduated, he would get a job and quickly buy a house for Kei to move into. Immediately after that, he took out a box from his pocket, pretending to be mysterious, sat next to Kei, and said how long it took him to save the money to buy it. Seeing Chorn, who was usually stupid, now understanding, Kei's originally bored mood also became a little happier. But opening the box, Kei's hopeful look immediately revealed a sheepish smile. Chorn hadn't even taken care of himself, showing off that this had cost him half a year's savings. Kei took the wallet from the box, pretended to be happy, saying that she really liked it, and she just happened to have lost her wallet today. She also said that the two of them were like having telepathy. The honest Chorn then asked if she had lost anything important. But he didn't think that it was just a trick that the person he loved used to be able to climb to the top. Kei said he didn't need to worry. There was only a little loose change inside. She also deliberately held Chorn's arm, saying that she was very happy to have someone always protect her, giving her a feeling of care and warmth. The two were intimate. Kei really knew how to comfort him. These actions completely made the guy infatuated. In the evening, when she returned, seeing the lights in the house were still on, remembering the disgusting incident last night. She didn't want to stay there for a second longer. She called Chala, saying that she wanted to sleep over tonight. Chala was working and happily agreed. After turning off the phone, as if thinking of something, she hurriedly went back to her room to put away the pictures of Chorn. When going to bed, Keo happily bragged to Chala that today she had accidentally met the owner of a car dealership, and he was the same age, handsome and rich. Everything about him was like a Prince Charming. Chala wasn't interested at all, saying that Keo had Chorn already. Why was she looking at another mountain while standing on this one? Keo said that she and Chorn were just ordinary friends. She also said that her husband in the future had to be the type who was handsome on the outside and rich on the inside. Suddenly, at this time the phone rang. Keo excitedly went over. The phone hadn't called for a whole day. Keo intentionally asked who it was. Sure enough, she heard Naka's voice. Keo pretended to breathe a sigh of relief, and said that it was lucky that Naka picked up her wallet, because she couldn't find it anywhere, and was about to cry. Naka heard this and comforted her, saying that there was a lot of stuff inside. He also asked her if it was convenient to come and get it. It was clearly already midnight, but Keo still agreed. She put on elaborate makeup, and went to the nightclub that Naka had arranged. Seeing that he was already waiting there, Keo put on a shy demeanor. The two greeted each other, and went to the arranged table. Naka politely handed the menu to Keo, saying that she could order whatever she wanted to drink. But Keo put on a hesitant look, saying that she didn't usually come to these places and didn't know what to order. This innocent look made him feel like he had found a treasure. He called the waiter to order a fruit wine. Keo was secretly happy that the goal had taken another step forward. On this side, the foolish Chorn was still working as a tutor, working hard to make money to prepare to buy a house. Naka took Keo's wallet from his pocket, saying that the two of them seemed to have a destiny. After saying that, he took out Keo's business card, saying it was a reward for picking up the wallet. At this time, the waiter brought the wine, and the two raised their glasses together. Keo began her performance, pretending to be a simple girl who wasn't used to drinking alcohol. Keo said that she was still in school, and this job was just to earn money to support herself. She also said that she admired him for being born protected, while she was working hard to make a living, with no one to rely on by her side. She was indeed a master of romance. Touched by Keo's situation, Naka offered that in the future, he would be there for her, and even wanted to help her get an internship at his family's company. After refusing several times, Keo reluctantly agreed. Afterwards, the guy drove the beauty home. Before leaving, he couldn't stop being affectionate. Unexpectedly, Chorn saw this scene from afar. He asked her who that person was. But Keo said that he was just a customer, telling him not to think too much. But Chorn was jealous, saying that Keo must like that guy. Seeing that she couldn't lie, Keo became angry, saying that only Chorn knew her home address. Of all the men she knew, only Chorn was sincere to her. She hoped he could trust her, and not let this lead to misunderstandings. Then she took his hand, changed the subject, asking Chorn if he had been here long. Chorn, who had already been psychologically manipulated, said only 2 hours. Keo shyly told him to close his eyes and gently leaned in for a kiss, leaving Chorn stunned. Sure enough, he believed her, and he immediately softened. The next day, Keo continued her work. She and a foreign guy went to a 5-star restaurant. Unexpectedly, they ran into an acquaintance. Worried about the truth being discovered, she hurriedly told the foreign guy to order food, and she would talk to her classmate for a bit. But the relationship between the two didn't seem to be so good. The girl came over and mocked that she already had a husband, and shouldn't think about other people's boyfriends in the future. It turned out that the two of them had a conflict when they were in school. That day, the three of them were talking when the girl brought a few aggressive people over, opening their mouths and looking for Keo to cause trouble, accusing her and her boyfriend of going out alone. Keo certainly didn't admit it. Moreover, Chorn was here. The two sides immediately erupted into an argument. The girl angrily raised her hand to hit Keo. At this time, Chorn stood in front of her, and as a result he was slapped. The girl was worried that this would become a big deal and wouldn't be good, said a few words and left. Because of the incident last time, this time when they met again, the girl knew at a glance that Keo and this man had some secret. Moreover, this was a 5-star restaurant. The group decided to follow Keo later to see where she and him were going. At this time, Keo had already finished eating. The foreign guy couldn't wait any longer, quickly called the waiter to pay, then went into the room. At this time, Keo secretly looked behind, worried that the group would ruin things. The people behind quietly followed, and discovered the guy took Keo to buy condoms. As if discovering something shocking, they quickly took out their phones to take pictures. But as soon as they opened it, the two were far away. They hurried to follow, and saw the two entering a hotel. The classmate was about to take out her phone to take pictures, but unexpectedly, her phone ran out of battery. But the group was still unwilling to give up, and saw the two enter a room, and it was needless to say what the situation was. They hurriedly followed but were stopped by the waiter. The two then entered the room, and it goes without saying what the situation was. After a session of exercise, Keo took out her phone, saw Chorn's message, asking her what she was doing. Looking at the guy sleeping, Keo said she was studying foreign languages, and even took the initiative to make an appointment to get together the next day. Chorn was very happy, saying that he was also reviewing, but the course was too boring. Keo didn't want to say much, and told Chorn to hurry up and study. If he got a perfect score this time, she would reward Chorn with a kiss on the cheek. Chorn heard this and felt like he had found gold, and immediately went back to studying. After the exam, Chorn waited for 2 hours, and finally made an appointment with Keo to go eat. Because he didn't do well on the exam, he also lost the reward. Keo comforted him while saying that she still had to go make money, so she couldn't eat with him. Chorn was unwilling, saying he wanted to go to work with her. Keo didn't think too much about it, and took Chorn to her workplace. Unexpectedly, she met Naka here. Keo began to feel uneasy in her heart. During the cosmetic presentation, the beautiful model came out, immediately receiving a rain of compliments. And Chorn below also took out his phone to take souvenir photos. Keo sat on the chair, listening to the MC's compliments, and smiling towards the stage below. Suddenly, she discovered that Naka was standing below looking at her, and Chorn was also standing and taking pictures of her. Keo secretly regretted it. If she had known Naka was coming, she would definitely not have brought Chorn here. At this time, the makeup artist reminded her not to be distracted. She had no choice but to complete the work first. After it ended, Keo didn't even have time to go behind the stage when she was called back by Chorn. Naka stood there in shock, his eyes wide open, looking at the guy who took his chance. Naka felt a little unhappy in his heart, and quietly left. Keo on this side had seen everything. She lied, saying that she needed to go inside to greet the customers, so she told Chorn to find a place to rest first. After saying that, she hurried to the back. It turned out that she was worried that Naka would find out, and wouldn't easily let the pie that had come to her mouth fall off. Seeing him standing alone, Keo hurriedly went to greet him, pretending to have met him by chance. Then looking at the advertisement next to her, remembering what the staff had just said that the boss invited her to speak, Keo immediately understood that Naka was the one who arranged the job for her. Naka smiled and nodded, saying that he just wanted to use work to see Keo more often. Then he was a little depressed, saying, "Maybe I won't need to anymore, because now you have a boyfriend protecting you. You won't need others." How could Keo not recognize this jealous tone? Keo then said that Chorn was just a friend she had been with since she was little, and because they had a good relationship, she brought Chorn here to look around. Between them, it was just a pure friendship. And all of this was seen by Chorn. Seeing the two being intimate, Chorn felt uncomfortable in his heart, and didn't dare to do anything too drastic. At the same time, the lady who was answering the reporter also noticed it. She angrily went over to warn Keo, and told her son to stay away from this type of woman. She just wanted his money. Unexpectedly, Naka argued back to his mother, but the lady was determined to make Keo embarrassed today. But then she saw the group of reporters. If she made a big deal today and let them take pictures, it would definitely affect the company. The lady had no choice but to leave. The second show began. Naka took a bouquet of fresh flowers that he had prepared in advance and went to the stage. Seeing Chorn, he took the initiative to greet him. Seeing this scene, Keo became even more anxious, worried that the two would talk and reveal the secret. However, the work still had to be done. Keo could only sit still and watch the two below be jealous. Chorn, although he didn't have money, wasn't willing to be weak, and immediately claimed to be Keo's boyfriend. But Naka wasn't willing to lose either. Looking at the naive guy in front of him letting himself be at a disadvantage, Naka said he was just a customer of Keo. But before Chorn could lower his guard, Naka asked him if he wanted to know what Keo's status was here. This made him a little uneasy, because he was boasting about being her boyfriend, but didn't know anything about her work. Just as Chorn was hesitating to answer, Naka on the stage had finished her makeup. A round of applause broke out below, breaking Chorn's embarrassment. Naka, in his capacity as boss, naturally went up to present flowers. The two were naturally close, taking pictures together. Chorn below the stage was full of jealousy, but he was broke as a joke and could only stand and watch. As the event ended, Keo saw Chorn was unhappy, and she had already regretted bringing him along. But what was done. Keo could only think about how to get through this lie. Just as she wanted to tell Chorn to go home, Naka unexpectedly pointed to the bouquet of flowers that Chorn gave, asking why Keo wasn't bringing such a big bouquet home. Keo understood what he was thinking, pretended to be indifferent, saying she would throw it away somewhere. Unexpectedly, Naka wasn't stupid, deliberately took the bouquet, walked past Chorn, and threw it in the trash, not forgetting to smile. It just so happened that Chorn was being interviewed, and could only pretend to be deaf and dumb seeing this scene. In the evening, Keo specially took Chorn to eat steak, asking him what he and Naka had said. Seeing that Chorn didn't want to talk, Keo pretended to be angry, saying that if he trusted others, then don't contact her in the future. After saying that, she picked up her bag and pretended to leave. This action immediately made Chorn feel embarrassed. He hurriedly apologized to her, then told Keo what the two had said. But he felt that the two were not a customer relationship. Moreover, he also recognized that he was the one who took Keo home that night. Knowing that Chorn wasn't talking nonsense, Keo immediately felt relieved. She comforted him, saying that the only person who could really take her home was him. After saying that, she didn't forget to hold his hand to reassure him. Then she cut a piece of steak and gave it to him. She thought that a good and smooth day had passed, but unexpectedly, when she got home, her aunt showed an annoyed attitude, saying that she always came home late and didn't know how to help with housework. Keo didn't want to respond to this woman, said that she had just paid the electricity bill, and went into the room. But she didn't notice the vulgar old man following behind. Just as she wanted to open the door, he blocked her, and stretched out his hand to stroke Keo's cheek, saying that she looked very beautiful today with makeup. These actions made Keo feel extremely nauseous, quickly closed the door, and wiped away the dirty thing on her face. In the middle of the night, Keo pretended to have mistakenly sent a message to Naka. Unexpectedly, the other end of the line seemed to be waiting, and immediately responded. Keo explained that she sent it by mistake, then casually asked how today's performance was. Naka then praised her endlessly, but then showed jealousy. Boyfriend is handsome too. How could she not understand these hidden meanings? She immediately explained that the two were just normal friends. She also said that if he teased like this in the future, she would be angry. Unexpectedly, the guy on the other end of the line heard this and immediately called. It seemed that just now was just a test. Keo heard and immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Answering the phone, Naka asked her if she had found a house to look at. It just so happened that he had bought one, and didn't know if she had time to go eat together tomorrow. Keo pretended to ask if it was just the two of them. Unexpectedly, Naka misunderstood, and said that there was a nanny in the house, proving that he was a gentleman and didn't mess around. He didn't know that Keo on the other end of the line looked disappointed when she heard there was someone else. At this time, a woman came out, asking who he was talking to. The guy hurriedly put down the phone, saying that he was just discussing work. It turned out to be Naka's girlfriend. The guy hugged the girl, and said that he had to go back to Paris tomorrow, and it would be a long time before they met again, and he would miss her very much. Then there was a scene that was not for children. Sure enough, a man's words couldn't be trusted. The next day, Naka hurriedly hid all the clothes, cosmetics, and handbags of the girls in the house. Keo saw the luxurious decoration in the room, and her eyes lit up. She began to dream of the days she lived here, Thinking of catching this golden turtle, she couldn't help but feel happy in her heart. Naka took her to visit the rooms. Seeing that other people's toilets were as big as her bedroom, Kei felt inferior, and her heart became more determined to stay with Naka. The two walked to the prepared dining table, opened a bottle of wine, and ate a romantic dinner. Unexpectedly, she turned around and saw the maid calling, and ran over. It turned out that the boss told her that if her son brought any girls here, she must report it. Frustrated, Naka could only urge Kei to eat quickly so they could go somewhere else. But just as they went downstairs, Naka's mother came over aggressively, blaming her son for still messing around with Kei. Naka was extremely embarrassed, saying that the two were just going to eat, and there was nothing else. He also said that he was so old now, did he have to ask his mother who he was eating with? But she said that Kei was the type of girl who only knew how to rely on men, beautiful and knew how to put on makeup, and there was nothing good about her. Kei allowed her to say these harsh words. Not only did Kei not say anything, but she felt wronged and cried. But this guy was still a mama's boy in the end, only asking to take her home and come back. Saying this, but she refused, saying that however they came, they would return. Kei could only pretend to cry like rain. When leaving, she didn't forget to politely say goodbye. But as soon as she went out, she wiped away her tears, and secretly made up her mind to find an opportunity to make her pay. In the evening, Kei made an appointment with two friends to relax at the bar. Having endured anger just now, she decided not to go home until she was drunk. When the waiter brought the wine, she deliberately took a picture as her profile picture. Naka saw it and became a little jealous, sending a message saying that she shouldn't drink alcohol. But sending several messages didn't get a reply. Kei knew that this trick was effective, deliberately turned off the phone and put it in her bag. Watching the phone call coming, Kei see a phone call, knew it was effective, deliberately put the phone in her bag. After drinking for a while, she was drunk. Kei was taken home by two people. But Kei didn't want to go back to this terrible place. When they were about to arrive at her house, Kei begged Chala to let her come to sleep over. Thinking of that old man, she really didn't want to stay for a single moment. The kind Chala naturally agreed. But unexpectedly, when she got home, Kei discovered her secret. Kei accidentally discovered that Chala liked Chorn. Seeing Chala come in, Kei didn't say anything, and immediately put the picture back in its original position. The two changed clothes and lay on the bed reading books. Kei complained that there wasn't even a TV in the room. At this time, the phone had a message. Naka asked her if she was home yet. Seeing that she didn't reply, Chala knew it was another guy, and said that it was good for Chorn, so that he wouldn't be heartbroken in the future. Kei wondered why Chala was speaking for Chorn, and pretended to take the phone to call Chorn. Seeing this, Chala hurriedly stopped her, but she didn't know that Kei was just teasing her. Angry, Chala covered herself with a blanket and went to sleep. The next day, Kei went home. Before she even went in, she was called back, saying that she didn't go to work every day, and didn't come home either. After talking back and forth, in the end, she still asked for money. Kei took out a few bills from her bag and gave it to her. But she had clearly given her 10,000 a few days ago. If she gave several 10,000s every month, it would be better to rent an apartment. Hearing this, the aunt was worried about losing her source of money, scolding her for being ungrateful, giving her a place to stay, and now that she had grown wings, she could leave if she wanted. The two finished talking and left. But these words were heard by the old man. Worried about her leaving, he hurried to find her, saying that she should obediently stay here. Everyone knew what he meant. Kei could only call her aunt. Scared, the old man went back and closed the door. The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. The old man was getting more and more outrageous. Kei was determined to quickly leave this house. Then she changed her clothes and went to school. How strong could the vanity of modern girls be? In the admiring eyes of her classmates, Kei calmly stepped into the luxury car parked in front of the door. The two went to the parking lot of the shopping mall. The security guard enthusiastically guided them to park, and didn't forget to open the car door for Naka. The VIP level treatment made Kei see the importance of money even more. Kei also pretended to ask if her company's internship was here. But Naka said no. Naka had asked his friend's company. and said that you didn't have to wear a uniform and had to wear a suit to work. So he specially brought her here to buy a few sets of clothes. Looking at the price on this dress, Kei felt a little excited in her heart and immediately held it up in front of him. Being praised by him, she lowered her head and looked embarrassed. Then Naka took out a card and told the staff to wrap it up. This handsome and generous look made Kei's eyes shine like stars. After buying clothes, the two went to a watch store. As soon as the two walked in, they attracted the manager's attention. The manager hurried over to greet them. Naka was very familiar, asking if there were any new models. The manager said that they had just released a new women's watch. After saying that, he brought it over. Looking at the diamonds studded all over the face, she knew that the price was definitely not low. Naka held the watch without hesitation. Kei put her hand to and carefully put it on for her. Hearing the manager quote the price, this number also exceeded her expectations. Kei was suggesting that she refuse, but Naka next to her quickly pulled out his card. It just so happened that it was exactly what she wanted. After paying, the manager hoped that the two could take pictures to keep as a souvenir. Neither of them refused. But unexpectedly, this photo brought disaster. It turned out that his girlfriend saw it, returning to the country one day earlier. Going into the apartment, she couldn't see Naka's figure, calling him, but he didn't answer, sending a message, but he didn't reply. At this time, a close friend suddenly sent a photo. Scene change. The rich young master made an appointment with the beautiful female student to go to the bar, but he didn't know that he was about to face a disaster. He secretly used his phone to take a picture of Kei, praising her for being very beautiful. He asked her if she had fun playing today. Thinking about how much clothes she had bought and the expensive watch, Kei intentionally showed a disappointed look, saying, "If Naka is so generous to everyone, then I'm not happy at all." This trick was really useful. Naka was now extremely infatuated with Kei. He said that what he did today was just to make up for the hurt, because his mother had said harsh words again and again. He also knew that she had gone out to drink alone yesterday. She was originally someone who couldn't drink alcohol, but borrowed alcohol to relieve her sorrows. He felt heartbroken just thinking about it. After the two confided for a while, Naka finally reluctantly took Kei home. When he arrived, he pretended to say that he wanted to use the toilet. But this trick was just a joke to Kei. She had already seen through it. She immediately continued the play, saying that if he was free these days, they could meet again. Moreover, he already had a lover, so no matter how much feelings the two had, they couldn't cross the line. In the end, Kei at this time was like a lotus flower in the mud, making the guy even more eager to have her. Unexpectedly, as soon as he went in, Naka was stunned, seeing his girlfriend sitting on the sofa with his mother again. Wasn't she supposed to come back tomorrow? How did she get back today? But no one said a word, and went to hit him nonstop, also cursing where that woman was ultimately good. Naka looked wronged, and didn't know what was happening. Adam then pulled out her phone to show him the picture of the two taking together. Naka saw that his secret was about to be exposed. He quickly said that he went to discuss work, and just happened to meet Kei working there. The staff enthusiastically wanted the two to take pictures together. There was really nothing happening. It could only be said that Adam was really stupid. She believed such a blatant lie. But the mother wasn't as stupid as that. She knew what was happening at a glance. After his girlfriend left, Naka was called back and warned by his mother. The next day, Kei went to work as usual. Under the lens, Kei created various poses. Looking at the wretched appearance of the guy, Kei was angry in her heart but still smiled, because there was still one thing that bothered him. It turned out that because she was too busy making money, her grades in class weren't good. To get an internship at the company, she could only go to make fake documents. This university student wore a short skirt to the interview, immediately attracting the attention of the male staff. She was quickly brought into the boss's office. At this time, the handsome boss was on the phone. It turned out that customers needed to book a room urgently, but now it was the tourist season, and the hotel was in a hot spot. Turning back to see the hot girl standing there, he quickly hung up the phone and told her to sit down. Feeling the mountains and valleys in front of him, the boss couldn't help but look a few times, knowing that Kei was the one who was introduced by his friend to do an internship. At this time, Kay took the initiative to say that she had worked as a tour guide before and had some materials on these hotels and could help customers book rooms. The difficult problem was immediately solved. The first impression was given a perfect score. The boss looked at Kay's excellent performance, feeling that being a manager was nothing too much. Successfully passing the interview round, Kay happily sent a message to Chorn, wanting to take the opportunity to gain more affection. Chorn suggested finding a place to celebrate, but before she could go out, her mother had the secretary bring in a set of documents. What her mother assigned was a must-do. Chorn could only make an appointment with Kay for another day. Hearing this news, Kay was a little disappointed, but pretended that she could understand. She told him to see each other when he was free tomorrow. Feeling annoyed and bored, Kay went to Cha Ilay's restaurant to intern and find her. Cha La was surprised why Kay was free to come here today. She told Kay to wait for half an hour and she would be off work. She also took out the menu and told Kay to choose a drink first. She still had to go to work. At this time, a well-dressed man walked in, attracting Kay's attention. Seeing him look to one side, Kay immediately changed her posture and greeted him with a smile. It turned out that this handsome guy was Cha Ilay's boss. After the two made a simple acquaintance, the guy excused himself to go to work. After he left, Kay couldn't stop praising that this man was the right choice, both handsome and rich. But Cha La didn't think so. Unexpectedly, a very disgusting thing happened after returning home that night. Late at night, the vulgar old man secretly opened the door and went in. Kay, in her sleepiness, saw the old man in front of her and was very scared, shouting loudly asking what he wanted to do, and telling him to get out quickly. Kay tried her best to resist, but a girl's strength was limited. In a panic, she touched a bottle of wine and smashed it straight on his head, almost sending him to the afterlife. Hearing the noise, the aunt hurriedly ran in, unexpectedly seeing her husband's head full of blood. Not waiting for Kay to explain, she rushed to go all out with her niece. But at this opportunity, the old man immediately blocked in front, saying that she called him over in the middle of the night. Seeing that this old man was not only perverted but also so despicable, Kay went crazy, rushing over wanting to fight him to the death. Seeing her husband being beaten, the aunt immediately pulled her aside, saying that she wore revealing clothes every day, as if telling everyone every second that she was short of men. The aunt's words made Kay go crazy, immediately grabbed her bag and left in a hurry. In the important moment, she still went to find Cha La. The two went to the lake. Cha La cared if Kay was okay now, telling her to go to her house tonight first. Suddenly, Kay thought of something, telling Cha La to wait a moment. Kay called Naka. After answering the phone, she cried like rain, saying that she was bullied tonight and was now alone on the street, not daring to go home, and not knowing where to go. She also asked him what she should do now. Naka asked if she was okay with concern. Then, as if enlightened, he told her to come find him first. The plan was successful. Kay went back to find Cha La, lying that a friend was lending her a place to stay. She told Cha La to lend her a set of clothes. Cha La felt a little strange, but still went back to get the clothes to lend. After meeting Naka, Kay's wronged appearance made people feel distressed. Naka comforted her and told her to sleep here peacefully. Seeing Kay crying like rain, Naka couldn't stand it and hugged her. Everything was going according to plan. When the two were preparing to get down to business, she suddenly backed down. Kay showed that she wasn't an open girl and still couldn't break the final boundary. Moreover, Naka still had ate him. Moreover, his mother didn't like her either. The guy was a little disappointed and could only comfort her that he would go back to his parents' place today, telling Kay not to think too much. And Kay also grasped the psychology very well. Seeing him leave in disappointment, she hugged him from behind and said thank you to him. But Naka, in order to show that he was a gentleman, pulled Kay's hand out, saying that these things were what he should do. Then he left the room alone. Kay looked at the luxurious apartment and couldn't help but take out her phone to take a few pictures, fantasizing about a future not far away where she would be the mistress of this place. The next day, Kay went to find a real estate agent to rent an apartment because her aunt's place was no longer an option. Staying at Naka's place was losing its appeal. She quickly found an apartment with a decent space. Then she went back to her aunt's house to get her things. As soon as her aunt saw her, she angrily walked over, throwing all her clothes on the ground, and loudly scolding her for being a slut. At first, she begged her to take her in. Now she was leaving as she pleased. Her voice immediately attracted the surrounding neighbors. Running into a relative like this was also bad luck. Kay didn't want to argue with her, so she silently sat down and packed her clothes. But seeing that Kay didn't say anything, she became even more emboldened, rushing over and physically attacking Kay. Seeing this, the old man ran over to stop her. The crowd immediately attracted Chorn and Cha-La in the distance. Seeing Kay being bullied, the two hurriedly ran over to help. After picking up the luggage on the ground, they quickly left this place of turmoil. Seeing Kay's whole body with injuries, Chorn felt heartbroken, saying he would go buy medicine. Kay took Cha-La to the apartment she had just rented. Looking at the clean and airy space, compared to her aunt's dilapidated house, it was like heaven and earth. At this time, the phone rang. It turned out that the TV she had ordered was delivered. She asked Cha-La to pick it up for her. At this time, Chorn returned with the medicine. Seeing Kay standing in front of the mirror examining her injuries, he felt a little embarrassed. Just as he wanted to go outside, he was called back by Kay, saying that she couldn't see the injuries and wanted him to help her apply the medicine. Chorn was touching a girl for the first time, and it was still in a sensitive area, making him tremble nonstop. When Cha-La returned, she unexpectedly saw this scene. In the evening, she put on beautiful makeup and went to her familiar bar. Because this house rental had cost her a lot of money, this made her want to have more money. Seeing the main money-making tree arrive, the madam was very happy in her heart. Before asking about working overtime recently, she said no problem. She asked if she wanted to demote herself. Now the money of the rich was easier to earn. But she was refused by Kay because she didn't want to steal the business of the group of people outside. Only high-end people were worthy of her service. If there was this kind of thing, adding a few more shifts like this every day wouldn't be a problem. Seeing her working so hard, Sister Gu was very happy and said that everything depended on her. At this time, a 16-year-old girl was just recruited by Gu and went in. Before Kay's doubts, Gu said that high school students were very popular now. Then she told Orn to take the girl out to get acquainted with the business. Orn saw Kay sitting next to her and immediately mocked. Kay basically didn't want to argue with her because she only belonged to VIP customers. Kay and Gu went to the customer area. Turning back, she discovered that Orn was receiving a customer who was quite handsome. Kay immediately became jealous. She learned about him through Sister Gu. It turned out that he was the boss of a media company and just happened to come to hang out. Because he was both rich and handsome, Orn occupied him every time. Kay then asked with full meaning, his identity could completely belong to the VIP rank. How could he find Orn every time? Sister Gu heard and immediately understood the meaning of the sentence, revealing that he had never asked how to become a VIP customer and might not particularly like anyone. The intelligent Kay immediately understood. Seeing the guy go out to answer the phone, Kay also excused herself to go out. She waited for him in front of the toilet, pretending to have a chance encounter. She quickly attracted the guy's attention. The guy asked her if she worked here. Why had he never seen her before? Kay said that she didn't often appear here, because she only served VIP customers. The man quickly understood, and went to find Sister Gu. When Kay went out, she received a phone call. It turned out that the guy had become a VIP customer, wanting her to receive this guy tonight. Kay heard this and immediately agreed. Unexpectedly, as soon as Kay hung up, she saw Orn rushing towards her like a gust of wind, constantly scolding Kay for stealing her customers. The two rushed to scratch each other's faces, and neither was willing to give in. Seeing her favorite being beaten, Sister Gu at this time went over and hurriedly grabbed Orn's hair to make her stop, scolding Orn for daring to cause trouble in her bar. If the customers all ran away, would she take responsibility? After saying that, she didn't forget to comfort Kay, asking if she was hurt anywhere. Seeing the madam pampering Kay like that, Orn became more and more jealous, secretly thinking of ways to take revenge. Kay was escorted by Sister Gu onto the luxury car of the man. The two didn't go straight into the hotel, but went to a bar. The guy was curious why they didn't quickly get down to business. What was the point of drinking alcohol at this place? Kei put on a haughty look, saying that she wasn't the type of girl who was casual, and the two needed to get to know each other first, intimately talking about their ideals. This special way of handling customers made the guy interested, saying what did Kei want to know? Looking at the wealthy man in front of her, and he was the boss of a media company, he probably wasn't short of girls. How could he come to this place? The guy said that he was the type of person who separated public and private. It was just a momentary interest. Kei thought he was joking, because she often worked as a model and knew the dark side of it. There were no innocent men now. Her confidence and understanding had attracted the guy, saying that with her talent, she could easily become an internet sensation, wanting to take some pictures to introduce her. But Kei was cautious, not accepting this good intention, saying that the first principle was that she couldn't take pictures. If there was anything else, he could contact Sister Good directly. Then, the two went to the prepared room. Kei began to show off the uniqueness of her skills. The next day, Kei diligently went to the company to report for her internship. Her hot body with an angelic face attracted the attention of the male colleagues in the company. After consulting the process, Kei quickly integrated into the work. Her fluent foreign languages attracted foreign customers, making her admired by her colleagues. Where could one find someone who was both beautiful and talented? The handsome boss had seen everything, and took the initiative to invite everyone to lunch. Seeing the boss caring about her like this, Kei was very happy. Sitting in the passenger seat of the boss to attend the first company party, she unexpectedly had unexpected gains. Arriving at the restaurant, everyone was very curious. Kei was not only beautiful but also spoke foreign languages fluently. Receiving praise from her colleagues, Kei was very proud. She also often received foreign customers, and humbly said that she wasn't really that good. This made the guy opposite her even more excited, wanting to know if Kei had a boyfriend yet. It seemed that the boss next to her was also very concerned. Kei pretended to sigh and naturally said that she still didn't have a boyfriend. Maybe they thought she didn't lack pursuers. On the contrary, they didn't dare to pursue. The male colleagues were very excited, dreaming in their heads about what to name their children. After they finished eating, the boss generously paid, and even tipped the waiter. His handsome appearance made Kei even more interested. Taking advantage of him going to the bathroom, she asked if the boss was always so good. Her colleagues kept praising the boss, handsome on the outside and rich on the inside. It was just that his family was not happy. She immediately said the right thing that she was interested in. It turned out that he and his wife were far apart, because their feelings were not good. Although his wife's family was very rich, the boss didn't want to be said that he was leeching off, so he relied on his own ability to gradually make the business bigger and bigger. Looking at her colleagues getting more and more excited about the gossip, Kei seemed to have another plan in her heart. Returning to the company after work, a male colleague took the initiative to take Kei home. Kei hated it in her heart, but her mouth still gently said that she was still busy with work and needed to work overtime. Seeing everyone leave, Kei looked up at the office, seeing the boss was still completing the work. Kei began the takeover plan. She brewed a cup of coffee and brought it to the office, and specially said to put only 1 spoonful of sugar. The boss thanked her while wondering how she knew he liked it like that. Kei said that she had noticed the things the boss liked yesterday, saying that serving the boss well was also what the internship should do. Looking at the beautiful and understanding Kei in front of him, the boss offered to take her home after he finished working later. And of course, this was in line with Kei's wishes. At this time, Naka was increasingly falling deeply in love with Kei. He begged his mother to buy him an apartment, lying that he wanted to change places to live. His mother saw through his thoughts, telling him not to think about Kei anymore, and to spend more time with Adam if he had time. Moreover, the company still owed Adam's family a lot of money. If he wanted to clear the loans, then keep a good relationship with Adam. On the surface, Naka had no choice but to temporarily listen to his mother and go shopping with Adam. It just so happened that he met Kei, who was shopping with Boss Arwat. Seeing Adam there, worried that she would ruin his good plans, he excused himself to leave. Little did he know that he had been seen by Adam. She gently walked towards her, mocking her for changing men like changing clothes. She also pretended to remind Arwit not to let her eat him to the bone and leave nothing. In the face of these words, Keo could only endure, not daring to speak. When Naka called Adam to leave, Arwit didn't understand why this girl was so aggressive and why she said such terrible things to Keo. Clearly, she wasn't that kind of person. Seeing that the matter was not revealed, Keo explained that the woman misunderstood her. She always talked like that every time they met, and she didn't want to argue with her. Seeing that the girl in front of him was so kind, Arwit added a few more points of affection for Keo. At night, the boss took Keo home. But going to a dark alley, Keo said she wanted to stop the car. Looking at this desolate place, Arwit wondered why she didn't let him take her home. Unexpectedly, Keo deliberately put on a wronged look, saying that she lived with her relatives, and if a man took her home, she would definitely be scolded. Moreover, it wasn't far, she could take a taxi there. Seeing this, the boss had no choice but to agree, telling Keo to pay attention to safety, and definitely send him a message when she got home. Keo got home and saw Chorn sitting on the ground waiting for her. She asked why he was here, and didn't call to let her know in advance. Chorn had been waiting for 3 hours, hurriedly caring for her, saying that she was alone here and it wasn't safe, so he came to see for himself. Going into the room, Keo teased if he wanted to be with her. Unexpectedly, Chorn boldly admitted this time. Keo immediately pretended to joke. If the surrounding neighbors saw that there was a man in her house, they would definitely say bad things behind her back. But Chorn was worried that the apartments were complicated, and if something happened, it would be too late to regret. But Keo wasn't worried because this was the best apartment in the city, the rent wasn't cheap, and the neighbors would also be rich, and wouldn't be so bad. Chorn thought that rich men couldn't be trusted, they all thought about dirty things in their heads. Keo mocked that didn't Chorn think so too. Chorn hurriedly explained that he was pure and not like those kinds of men. This time Keo didn't say anything, pulled his hand and hugged him. The two were intimate. When their lips were about to touch, she was held back by Keo, saying that he wasn't a saint either, and was as elegant as those other men. She told him that he wouldn't be allowed to come here alone if he didn't go with Cha-La in the future. Chorn was extremely aggrieved at this time. His tears were about to fall. He hurriedly explained that he didn't think just now it wouldn't happen again. They had known each other for so long, she understood what kind of person he was. Seeing that Keo was still angry, Chorn could only helplessly agree. The plan was successful. Keo began to pull Chorn, telling him to work hard and wait until they bought a house, then the two could really be together. Hearing about buying a house, Chorn felt painful again. Based on his meager salary, he didn't know when he could buy a house. Keo also encouraged Chorn to take another foreign language, so that he could be a bilingual teacher, and the salary would definitely be higher. Drawing out a good future life made Chorn full of hope again. But when Keo went to take a shower, the phone had a message. It turned out that Arwit was worried, and asked if she had gotten home safely. This made Chorn very uneasy. Waiting for Keo to come out, he seriously asked if she really wanted to marry him. It turned out that Chorn didn't have a sense of security, afraid that after buying a house, the two wouldn't be together anymore. Then he requested to give his savings account to Keo to keep, so that she wouldn't leave him. He also promised to try to earn more money in the future. As soon as he said it, he did it. He directly took his phone and transferred all his money to Keo. Keo looked at the notification on her phone with a bit of daze. She looked at Chorn with a satisfied look. When leaving, she didn't forget to give him a kiss on the cheek. Returning, at 12 o'clock at night, she called Cha-La out to ask her to find a job for him. He had to earn a lot of money to buy a house. Cha-La was a little complaining. She had just escaped her mother's scolding and ran into this again. Wasn't John's ideal to go back to his hometown to be a teacher for children? He didn't want to explain much, just saying that she must help him. Today, Keo received Naka's apology message, smiled lightly and put the phone down. Naka on this side didn't receive a response, and couldn't help but take the phone to call. But the other party still didn't answer. Ignoring the secretary's obstruction, he excused himself to meet customers, and went to the company where Keo was interning. At this time, Keo was in Arwit's office. He offered to invite her to dinner to thank her for helping him handle the hotel matter last time. Looking at the boss eating a lunchbox, Keo intentionally teased that he wouldn't invite her to eat a lunchbox, would he? This made Arwut laugh, saying that he was too busy today, so he ordered takeout. He told Keo to choose a restaurant she liked to eat at. Keo remembered her colleagues talking about it 2 days ago, that this diamond boss was attentive. If she let herself choose, it would be wanting to test the boss's skills. This skillful answer made Arwut a little surprised. He happily agreed. In that case, when she could find the time, she should come to his house so he could cook some delicious dishes. At this time, Naka had arrived in the lobby. He went straight to the office area but didn't see Kame. Looking up, he saw her coming out of Arwut's office, and talking and laughing happily, which made him even more angry. He went forward and grabbed her hand. Arwut didn't know what was happening, hurriedly stopped him, saying that this was his company, and he didn't allow anyone to harm his employees. Unexpectedly, Naka was arrogant, not caring about that, and warned him not to meddle in other people's business. The two went downstairs. Naka was angry to the point of madness. Was it because of this man that she wasn't answering his phone? Seeing Naka's jealous appearance, Keo immediately acted, saying that Arwut cared about her. At least he didn't let anyone scold her. Moreover, the two had no relationship, and she had the freedom to answer the phone or not. She also told Naka to go back and not care about her anymore. Her weak, crying appearance immediately made Naka feel embarrassed and heartbroken. He said that all he did was because he wanted Keo to live in a luxurious apartment. But unexpectedly, he was rejected outright. Keo said that she had Arwut's help and had found a new apartment, and the things were already bought. This made Naka, who was already angry, even more upset, pushing Keo into the car and forcing her to go see the new apartment. The two drove away. Everything below was seen by Arwut. In his heart, he was a little worried, but he couldn't anger Naka, so he could only tell the staff to tell Keo to come see him when she returned. On this side, the two had arrived at a luxurious apartment. Naka burst out with jealousy, telling Keo to quickly move out and not let others come to where she lived. Keo looked at this strong possessive appearance, and said that the two had no relationship. Moreover, Naka still had Tim, saying that she felt very painful thinking about this. At this time, Naka was forced, and could only say that he would quickly give Keo a result. Give him some time, he couldn't bear to see Keo with other people. After saying it, he hugged Keo tightly, but not noticing that Keo, after crying, revealed a smug smile. The guy was beginning to lose control, when he was pushed away by Keo. She said that the two still didn't have an official relationship, and she wasn't the type of person who was casual. Naka then apologized, saying that he would quickly resolve it. At this time, Keo requested to go back to work, worried that she would be fired if she was absent without permission. Naka angrily told her that she didn't need to worry, if she was fired he would change companies. But in her heart, Keo didn't want to leave any misunderstanding, so she excused that she just didn't want to give up halfway. Moreover, when Naka found a new apartment, the two could meet every day. Returning to the company, Keo pretended to be wronged, apologizing to her colleagues first. She also expressed that she wanted to explain clearly to Arwut. Looking at her sincere apology, Arwut was a little embarrassed. Who told him that he was from the chairman's family, he didn't dare to offend her. He also asked if he was always like that with Kame. Seeing that Arwut wasn't angry, Keo then put all the blame on Naka, saying that she had tried her best to keep a distance from him, but she was still often harassed. It was just because she had previously introduced customers to him, so she often used that as a reason to approach. After saying that, Keo showed a look of wanting to cry. She continued saying that what he did also made Tim misunderstand, so there was the scene at the shopping mall last time. Arwut heard this and understood that Naka was pursuing Kame, but he expressed that, with his family's status, how could any girl not be moved? Seeing this, Keo then expressed that she hated people who thought that with a little money, they could do whatever they wanted to others. Unexpectedly, this guy believed it completely, even praising her noble qualities. And Chala at this time was also in the boss's office. Hearing that the restaurant was hiring a lobby manager, remembering that Chorn wanted to find a job the day before, she wanted to introduce Chorn to the boss. Seeing Chala being both serious and worried, the boss had a very good impression of Chala and agreed. It was just that she had to go to eat with him once. Knowing that the boss didn't have bad intentions, Chala hesitated and still agreed. And Kay on this side went to the guy with glasses to take pictures. Because of the fake documents he made last time, she had a successful internship, and specially came to thank the guy with glasses. The simple guy with glasses was already very happy to see Kame. Other things were small matters. He also took out a carefully edited photo for Kame, saying he would help her post it online, and who knew, she might become famous. Kay immediately expressed her admiration and promised that if she could really become famous online, she would definitely not forget him. After saying that, she took out her phone and asked him to help her with a small matter. This university student was relying on selling her body to make money. Counting the bills in her hand, Kay couldn't help but sigh. At this time, the customer came out, caring to ask if Kay was still going to school. Knowing that she was still a good student, he was immediately interested, saying that the company needed a personal assistant, and with Kay's appearance and ability, she could definitely take on the job. She pretended to be very interested, but after hearing about the treatment and salary, she said that she still needed to go back to ask Sister Gu. Moreover, she also needed to sign a contract. If she violated it, she might have to compensate hundreds of thousands. Hearing this number, the guy was a little scared. He told her that she didn't need to rush and to go back to the nightclub. Kay sarcastically told Sister Gu about this. It was obvious that he didn't have money, and was fantasizing that he was a big shot. She also told Sister Gu not to give her those kinds of orders in the future. Sister Gu, with an understanding look, said that she wouldn't introduce those miscellaneous orders to her before, but because she saw that Kay needed money now, it was for her good in some ways. She also reminded her that recently she was always busy with other things, and if she was absent for too long, she wouldn't be as attractive anymore. Moreover, the industry was also fierce now, and new employees were working hard. There was an old saying that as bamboos grow old, young shoots spring up. This class would have other classes that were stronger, but Kay thought that where the shoots grew was where they grew, and didn't mess with her seat. At this time, the newcomer came over. Relying on her beautiful appearance and docile personality, she was also a breath of fresh air in the industry. Under Sister Ji's arrangement, she applied for a study abroad passport. Kame, after hearing this, was puzzled. Why didn't this good thing come to her? She immediately wanted to find an opportunity to ask about this clearly. Just then, Prey still hadn't rented a room and knew that Kay had just moved into an apartment. Sister Gu told her to inquire if there were any vacant rooms for rent. Kay immediately put on the appearance of a senior, saying she would ask for her. But Prey was very calm, saying that money wasn't the problem now. Thinking about wanting to find out about going abroad, Kay suggested that she come stay at her place for one night, so that she could understand more about that apartment. The two went home. As soon as she walked in, Prey exclaimed because of the luxury here. The toilet was even bigger than her previous room. Kay secretly but intentionally said that renting a room here, plus electricity and water, also costs more than 20,000 a month. Could she afford it? Unexpectedly, Prey said that it was not a problem at all. She had been working hard every day recently, and doing a little more would be fine. Moreover, she would be going abroad in a while, and it would be a big deal, so renting for a year wouldn't be a problem. Speaking of the main point, Kay immediately got more interested. She showed Prey the photo she had photoshopped of her traveling overseas. Seeing how much Prey admired it, her sense of superiority increased many times over. What's more, she only took care of VIP clients. Then, thinking about Prey going abroad, Kay pretended not to care, wanting to know exactly what was going on. Prey didn't think much of it and said directly that the year was almost over, and all the big shots were going abroad to relax. She was taking the opportunity to be there to serve them. Not only was the work easy, but it also paid a lot of money. Such an opportunity only came once a year. Seeing how clueless Prey was, Kay acted disdainful, but in her heart, she wanted this opportunity. Kay told Prey to go take a shower first. Then she went into the bathroom to take a cute picture. Unexpectedly, she sent it to Orn and even offered to keep her updated on Kay's every move from now on. Meanwhile, over with Chala, because she was helping Chorn find a job, she had agreed to go to dinner with the boss. But when she got home, her mom saw her. As soon as she walked in, Her mom asked who the man was. She angrily scolded her for not studying properly and for being like Kay, spending all day with men, not studying or doing any real work. Chala was clearly wronged, and no one comforted her. She just lay on her bed crying alone. At that moment, Chorn called, asking how the job situation was. Chala said the boss had agreed to interview him. After Chorn found out, he was overjoyed but didn't notice the tears on Chala's face. The next day, Chorn went to the restaurant for the interview as planned. The boss, who already had feelings for Chala, asked what the relationship between the two was. Unexpectedly, Chorn said that Chala was just a friend of his girlfriend. The three of them often went out to eat together, so they were very close. This unexpected answer made the boss very happy, and he immediately agreed to hire him. Chorn was full of hope. His goal of buying a house was one step closer. But Chala's situation was terrible. At work, she overheard colleagues gossiping about her and the boss. Chala was upright and couldn't stand people spreading rumors. A few people started a big fight. Chala forcefully pushed a colleague's head into a plate of food, so she was punished by the manager. According to the rules, she would be fired. A job that wasn't easy to get was lost just like that. Today, Kay went to a villa with Arwut for dinner. As soon as she arrived, Kay was amazed by the luxurious style in front of her. Looking at the parking lot full of luxury cars, she had to say that rich people were really something. Arwut seemed to see through her thoughts and said that this place wasn't his. Entering the villa and seeing the magnificent house, Kay asked if the boss lived in such a big villa alone. Receiving an affirmative answer, Kay pretended to be curious and asked how she had never seen the boss's wife after knowing him for so long. Arwut, seeing this, answered honestly, saying that his relationship with his wife wasn't good, so now they lived separately. Kay kindly advised him to find someone who could live with him to ease the loneliness. However, Arwut believed that you needed luck to find someone who truly understood each other. Furthermore, he wasn't ready to start a new relationship because his wife hadn't thought about breaking up with him. Most of the household income came from his lover's business. After getting married, he was just an employee of the company and had no savings. If they broke up, they would need to divide the assets, which was why the other party didn't want to. Seeing Arwut looking a little sad, Kay changed the subject. Besides, she had already gotten a lot of information. The two went into the kitchen. It had been a long time since Arwut had cooked himself. Kay wasn't idle either and also helped out. Seeing the boss sweating, she even used a tissue to dab it for him. Her obedient and understanding appearance made Arwut's icy heart melt a little. The two finally finished cooking the meal. The two enjoyed a warm dinner together. Arwut then mysteriously told Kay to close her eyes and hold out her hand. Kay obediently did so. Arwut took out a black box and took out a gold bracelet from it, placing it on Kay's wrist. Seeing her happy appearance, he said, "See, you like this kind of thing." After they finished eating, the two went to the living room. Kay looked at the luxurious decorations, daydreaming about living here someday. Suddenly, a message from Chorn arrived. It turned out today was his first day at work. He sent Kay a photo of himself wearing his uniform. But Kay didn't have the mood to look at those things right now. She lazily replied and sat down on the sofa, enjoying the feeling of being rich. Looking at the bracelet, she thought about what to do next to improve her relationship with Arwut. When she returned to her apartment, Kay couldn't resist sitting and admiring the bracelet. It suited her fair arm perfectly. It was flawless. Just then, the doorbell rang. It was Prey, telling Kay that she had successfully gotten the opportunity to work abroad. Prey was overjoyed and wanted to invite Kay for a walk to buy some things. Seeing the gold bracelet on Kay's wrist, Prey quickly flattered her. Kay nonchalantly said, "This little thing? I get a whole box of these in a year. Who told men to like this kind of stuff?" Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Opening the door, it was Orn. Without even thinking, Kay knew that Prey had sold her out, which is why Orn had found her here. Looking at her enemy with envy, Orn, fueled with hatred for having her client stolen, didn't even exchange a few words before attacking. Chala arrived at that moment and saw Kay getting her hair pulled. She rushed in to separate them. But Orn wasn't done yet, and even spoke about Kay selling herself in front of Chala. Orn assumed that Chala was here as another sell herself type. Looking at her, She probably didn't have any clients. Keo didn't expect her to dare mention this. Afraid that Cha-la would find out, Keo quickly cursed and chased her away. After the two left, Keo made up a reason to avoid the topic. Of course, Cha-la asked what had happened and why they were talking like that. Keo feigned sadness, saying she didn't know. Maybe they had mistaken her for someone else. But Cha-la wasn't stupid and said that if they had mistaken her, they wouldn't have started cursing her. Cha-la wanted to continue asking, but Keo showed her displeasure, which stopped Cha-la from asking more. She comforted Keo, telling her not to think too much. Keo thanked her on one hand and asked why Chorn hadn't come. Cha-la said that Chorn had just started working and couldn't take a vacation. She also said that he was trying so hard to buy a house, working hard so as not to let down Keo's expectations. But Keo denied it, saying Chorn was doing it for himself. Then she took out her phone and took a picture to send to Chorn. Chorn was very happy to receive the picture. However, as he picked up his phone, he was reminded by his superior, who told him he wasn't allowed to use his phone during work hours. He was also told that as a trainee, he should be careful to avoid violating company rules. Seeing that it was late, Cha-la left. She thought of how she hadn't heard from Naka in the last few days. Could it be that he had forgotten her? Saying that would be unfair to him. Naka, on the other hand, was being pressured by his mother and could only force himself to be with Adam every day. And Kame, unaware of this, intentionally sent Naka a message. Over here, Naka's phone rang, and the message attracted Adam's attention. She curiously opened it, and sure enough, it was from that woman. Adam pretended to be Naka and sent a message arranging a meeting. Kei wore a beautiful outfit to the meeting point. Unexpectedly, the person waiting for her there was Adam. She arrogantly said that she was the one who sent the message. But Kei already knew all of this because if Naka had sent the message, he definitely wouldn't have let Kei take a taxi. Adam had never thought that she would be played like this. Adam was furious and cursed Kei for only thinking about Naka's wallet. But Kei wasn't angry. Instead, she mocked Naka for only playing with her, while she was his true love. Hearing this, Adam immediately went crazy and rushed at Kei to show her what's what. Kei didn't back down and immediately retaliated. Seeing this, the security guard came to stop them, but how could he stop Adam? He even accidentally got slapped. Adam continued to attack Kei, but Naka happened to witness this scene. Kei heard Naka's voice and burst into tears, pretending to be afraid and begging them not to hit her anymore. Seeing her acting so well, Adam quickly explained. But in his heart, he only had Kei, so why would he listen to her? He spoke as he helped Kei out of there, leaving Adam standing there angrily. But Adam refused to accept defeat like this. Naka took Kei back to her apartment. This would definitely upset his mother. Realizing that Naka wasn't happy, Kei cunningly took the initiative to apologize. On one hand, she cried, and on the other hand, she apologized for the trouble she had caused him. And this trick worked very well. Naka immediately blamed everything on Adam. After saying that, he felt sorry for the injuries on Kei's body. Kei then pretended to be pitiful, saying that the two shouldn't contact each other for the time being. This confused him. After saying that, she pushed him out the door. Today, everyone at the company witnessed their usually cold boss acting so happy. He went to the company and called Kei into his office to talk. Unexpectedly, his wife showed up while the two were there. The secretary tried to stop her, but his wife wasn't afraid of anyone. She immediately barged into the office, accusing Arwat of bringing other women to the villa. In one swift motion, she slapped her husband in the face. She also said that even though she didn't live at home, his money was hers, and he shouldn't expect to do anything she didn't allow. Arwat was utterly frustrated and demanded a divorce. But she refused. She would lose half of the house. She wasn't that stupid. Only she had the right to decide, and Arwat didn't have that right. She also warned him that if he brought another woman to the villa, she would cancel his credit cards. And if he wanted to fool around with girls, he should do it outside. After saying that, she threw some loose change at him to humiliate him. Then she proudly walked out of the company. Afterward, the two went outside. Arwat apologized to Kei for the incident that morning. Having a wife like that was something he was used to. It was just that it bothered Kei, which made him feel very guilty. Kay expressed her sympathy and said she didn't mind. She pretended to feel sorry for him. There was also a subtle implication in her words, saying that finding someone like Arwut wasn't easy. If it had been someone else, they would have left long ago. Hearing these words made him feel like he had found a soulmate. Over here, in order to quickly buy an apartment for Kame, Chorn had to in turn work extra jobs and tutor, which caused him to suffer from severe sleep deprivation. He and Cha-La were talking in the canteen when suddenly a girl came over. It turned out to be someone who had a grudge against Kame. She took the opportunity to mock them. She told Cha-La that she should learn from Kame, that being so stacked could earn her 2 months' salary in one night. These words made no sense to them. The girl also told them about catching Kame going into a hotel with a foreigner, mocking Kame for making money that way. Of course, Chorn didn't believe it, but that didn't mean he didn't take it to heart. He and Cha-La went to her younger brother's school. It turned out her younger brother hadn't been home for several days. Her mother worriedly asked Cha-La to look for him, but she had searched all around and couldn't find him. After asking some of the boy's friends, she learned that he hadn't been going to school for a long time, and was hanging out with a bad crowd. When it was time to go to work, Chorn told Cha-La to go ahead and he would keep looking for him. If he got any information, he would let her know as soon as possible. When she arrived, the manager called Cha-La over, requesting her to bring a meal to the VIP guest. When Cha-La brought the food, the guy started talking to her. Seeing the woman's wedding ring, Cha-La didn't want to get involved with this guy and quickly retreated. Unexpectedly, he found her when she was washing her hands in the restroom. He went over to praise Cha-La's beauty and said that if she was interested, she could go abroad with him. But Cha-La wanted to stay away from this type of man, so she politely refused. Over here, Naka's mother was very angry when she found out and threatened to cut off all his money, not giving him a single penny. Of course, Naka didn't have the ability to survive on his own. Now, as long as he married Adam, his mother would give him whatever he wanted. Naka had no choice but to agree. Over here, Kay was working when she received a message from Gu, informing her that a VIP guest had arrived tonight. Thinking of the debt she had to pay, Kay replied that she was free. Over here, the VIP guest, after sending his girlfriend off in a car, went to find Gu. He praised Gu for working very thoughtfully. Seeing him, Gu enthusiastically asked if he was satisfied with what she had arranged. Looking at Ji's expression, it could be seen that they had worked together many times. Just then, Kay walked in from the door. Looking at the handsome man sitting next to Gu, Kay was very satisfied. The two quickly went in to say hello. Gu told this person that she could see him or not, but the tip would be extremely generous. Kay, of course, wouldn't miss this good opportunity. On the other hand, Orn and Prey were extremely jealous when they saw this. They felt that this was much better than sleeping with those ugly old men. The two went out to the car. According to the usual process, the two would go find a bar to talk about their ideals. But this particular client refused, saying to get straight to business. Remembering Ji's reminder, she could only obey, going straight to the hotel. Over here, Chorn, because of sleep deprivation, could fall asleep at any time. After being reminded by the manager several times, he was finally forced to go wash his face. Getting off the car, coincidentally, this was the hotel where Chorn worked. Seeing this, Kay became worried and asked if he lived in this hotel. Why don't we go out and grab something to eat? However, the client had lost patience, immediately telling her to come in. Luckily, Chorn was in the restroom at this time, so they didn't run into each other. But everything has its price. This guy spent money generously, but not because he was magnanimous, but because of his special preference, which was the pleasure of pain during intercourse. As a result, the next morning, Kay's smooth back was covered with wounds. But compared to the money she received, it was just like mosquito bites. When Kay went down to the lobby, she bumped into Chorn. She lied, saying she came to pick him up, which made Chorn very happy. When he asked about the red marks on Kay's neck, she explained that they were itchy spots. Chorn actually believed it wholeheartedly. Kay was also very concerned, telling him to pay attention to his health while working. Seeing his girlfriend being so caring, Chorn was very happy. He also took the opportunity to invite her to a restaurant. The two went to the restaurant where Cha-la worked. The cost of one meal here was equal to Chorn's entire day and night of work. But what could he do? Standing in front of his girlfriend, he could only pretend that he could afford it. Kay was also very concerned, asking how Cha-la's relationship with the boss was progressing. This made Cha-la worried, fearing that others would overhear and gossip behind her back. Chorn was surprised because he didn't know about this. Seeing Kay teasing her in front of Chorn like this, Cha-la was very unhappy. After Cha-la left, Kay told Chorn to quickly order food because she had a class to attend. But in reality, she was going to the company for an internship. Unexpectedly, when she arrived, she saw her colleagues gossiping. The news reported on Naka and Adam's upcoming marriage. Kay outwardly didn't care, but inside she was in turmoil. If she couldn't catch this fish, she must cling to another golden turtle. Over here, Chorn didn't expect his mother to arrange for reporters to report that he and Adam were about to get married. He worried that Kay would misunderstand, so he took out his phone to call her. But Kay intentionally didn't answer the phone. Then, holding the documents in her hand, she confidently walked into Arwit's office. Seeing Arwit's unpleasant expression, Kay guessed that he had just argued with his wife. Kay mentioned that she had also just encountered some troubles and wanted to talk to him. But seeing his mood, she didn't want to bother him. Seeing this, he invited her to lunch for a chat. He took her to a familiar restaurant. Arwit very naturally confided in her about his situation with his wife, not knowing that Kay was just waiting for this. Seeing that her goal had been achieved, Kay pretended to be aloof. She also said that her principle was not to get involved as a third party, whether the person was in love or married. She didn't want to love someone who was still hung up on their ex. She advised him to be decisive with his wife and live for himself. She also said that she would wait. This further fueled Arwit's intention to resolve his family issues. But unexpectedly, after the meal, when he returned to the company, he saw Naka sitting there triumphantly. Arwit had now begun to develop feelings for Kay, so he couldn't stand by as he had before. Naka threatened to tell his cousin to fire Arwit. Kay didn't want to make a big deal out of it, so she reassured Arwit and agreed to go out and talk to Naka. Seeing the woman he loved being taken away by another man right in front of his eyes made Arwit incredibly angry. Over here, Naka wanted to take her to a luxury apartment. But Kay refused, saying she didn't want to have any further entanglement with him. After all, he was about to get married, so the two should keep their distance and not cause others to misunderstand. Naka was flustered at this time, explaining that this matter was arranged by his mother. Because of this, the apartment and car would be transferred to his name. Once the goal was completed, he wouldn't stay with Adam anymore. He also guaranteed that he would transfer all assets to her name. Only then did Kay feel relieved. Upstairs, he reaffirmed that he was free. The two pledged their lives to each other, embracing passionately. The relationship between the two took another step forward. After making love, Naka discovered the numerous wounds on Kay's back. Kay lied, saying that she was beaten by her uncle, which made him want to protect her even more. The apartment now belonged to Naka. Kay immediately returned home to pack her belongings. And thanks to her bespectacled friend who posted an article online, Kay managed to attract a large number of followers. Because of this, Kay received advertising invitations, earning some extra money. Kay went to the madam to collect her salary. Seeing the amount of money Kay received, Prey secretly admired her. Knowing that Prey's trip abroad had been cancelled, Kay consoled her with a gloating tone, making Prey furious. By the way, she wanted to apply for a long-term leave of absence. The madam sarcastically asked if she really wanted to take a break. She also said that if she didn't operate regularly in the industry, she would definitely lose customers. But Kay didn't care, and even boasted that she had just met a rich boyfriend and was about to move to his house soon, so it would be difficult to go out. She didn't even give the madam any face. After Kay left, Prey took the opportunity to speak ill of Kay, while expressing that she wanted to replace Kay. At the restaurant, Cha-la picked up Jacoby's phone while cleaning the table. She wanted to ask the receptionist to return it, but unexpectedly received a request to have the person who found it deliver it to his room. Unexpectedly, when she arrived, he revealed his lustful face. Jacoby had never met anyone who resisted so fiercely as Chala. He used money to lure her, but she wasn't the kind of person who could easily be blinded by material things. Regardless of the bad feedback, Chala didn't want to compromise with this contemptuous person. That evening, Jacoby called the madam, wanting Keo to go with him. Despite the madam introducing many younger and more beautiful girls, he still only wanted Keo. The madam didn't dare offend the client, so she could only reluctantly call Keo to ask. And after being begged by the madam for a while, Keo finally agreed. But only for dinner, no further steps. The madam hung up with a somewhat unhappy feeling, but she had no choice. In the evening, the restaurant owner brought two girls to Jacoby's farewell party. When the two walked in, Chala was stunned when she saw Keo. And Keo was a little embarrassed. But she quickly introduced herself as Jacoby's assistant to avoid being suspected by Chala. Yet, while bending down to pick something up, she saw Jacoby's wicked hand groping her friend. She also saw them being intimate in the parking lot. But Keo was very slippery, and with just a few words, she shook off the relationship with Jacoby. Keo constantly advised Chala to date the restaurant owner to get a better life soon. She didn't understand why this friend of hers always mentioned money. Chala was very annoyed. Money didn't necessarily mean happiness. But Keo didn't think so. At this time, the young master who had been waiting for Keo for a long time arrived. Naka blamed her for not answering his phone. Keo then used her best friend as a shield, saying that the two of them were attending the appointment together tonight. She also whispered to her friend, "This man can give you the life you want." Back in the room, the transfer of the apartment was still not done, making Keo very anxious. Naka was infatuated. Seeing her demanding to transfer the car to her, he nodded without giving it a second thought. Today, Keo had just seen her boyfriend off to work when she received a call from the glasses friend. The guy happily announced that he had seen her advertising photos online. He wondered if she remembered his contribution. Keo was extremely disgusted but still pretended to be happy, saying she still remembered her promise. She told him that if she had some free time, they would go see a movie. Unexpectedly, this guy was already obsessed, immediately saying he was free right now. Over here, Chorn hadn't seen Keo since the hotel incident. He wanted to visit her at home. But Keo said that Chala had to come along, so Chorn went to beg Chala. She didn't want to go at all, but standing in front of Chorn, she couldn't refuse. Unexpectedly, when the two arrived, they saw Keo calling a taxi to go to a date with the friend with glasses. Chorn shouted as loud as he could, but she couldn't hear him, so he could only rush into the car to chase after her. When they arrived at the shopping mall, Chorn discovered that Keo was holding hands with another man. Seeing Chorn appear here, Keo panicked. But she quickly found an excuse, saying that Bright was a disabled person. She felt sorry for him, so she agreed to go see a movie with him. She also manipulated Chorn into thinking that he was the one who was wrong. Just then, Bright turned around and thought Keo had brought friends along, and he showed his displeasure. He agitatedly grabbed Keo's arm, which made Chorn go crazy. Daring to date his girlfriend, Chorn immediately raised his fist, and the two started fighting. Keo had no choice but to say that if anyone didn't stop, then they shouldn't look for her anymore. This trick really worked. She said that Chorn only knew how to use violence to solve problems. Then she angrily left. Chorn kept wanting to go find Keo, not caring how injured he was. Seeing him so stupid, Chala was fed up and didn't bother to respond. The friend with glasses finally managed to get his crush to go out, but Chorn ruined it. There was still no news about the transfer of the apartment, and Adam had already started trying on wedding dresses. Seeing the photos of Adam wearing a wedding dress online, Keo urgently called Naka, pretending to be sick and wanting him to come take care of her. This guy was already obsessed with her, so he immediately went to find her, despite everyone's objections. Keo hurriedly returned home, and met Chorn and Chala, who were waiting downstairs. She continued to act angry. Chorn followed her upstairs to coax her. He also promised that he wouldn't be like that again. After coaxing her for a while, he finally gave her his entire first month's salary. Only then did Keo's anger subside, and she pretended to forgive him. Looking at the time, seeing that Naka was about to arrive, she hurriedly sent him away. Just as Chorn went downstairs, he ran into Naka. Having seen him and Kay being intimate, worried that Chorn would get agitated again, Chala quickly told him to leave. Naka got out of the car and quickly went to find Kay, not noticing a car coming right after. Chorn had just walked over when Adam arrived coincidentally. Prey was also here at this time, enthusiastically pointing her out. Hearing the knock on the door, Kay was delighted in her heart, and deliberately pretended to be seriously ill when she opened the door. Before the two could get intimate, Adam appeared, grabbing Kay's hair and pulling her behind Naka, then pushing her out. Inside was a battle between two women. Without Naka inside, Kay didn't hesitate to fight back. But Adam seemed a little stronger. Kay quickly pretended to run and deliberately opened the door. Naka outside hurriedly rushed in. Seeing Adam constantly hitting Kay, he quickly told her to go home. Unexpectedly, Adam demanded, determined not to let this matter slide. Naka even challenged her to break off the engagement for Kay. She would definitely not let the two of them get their way, so that Kay could only be a mistress forever. Seeing her whole body full of scratches, Kay couldn't bear it any longer. At this time, Naka even loudly demanded to break off the engagement. But when he got home, he begged Adam not to tell his mother. He also promised to break up with Kay in order to continue the marriage. Indeed, men's words are not trustworthy, especially when this is a true mama's boy. Over here, Chala was annoyed when she had to see Chorn like that. She couldn't understand why he was so blind. While talking, the two accidentally came into close contact and were seen by a neighbor. The human camera went to tell Cha-La's mother, saying she was kissing a man in the street. Needless to say, Chala was scolded by her mother as soon as she got home. She never believed her words. While hitting her, she demanded that she drop out of school. Chala had to kneel down and beg her to let her go. After that incident, her phone was confiscated, and she wasn't allowed to go to work. When Chorn came to find her, her mother angrily threw water and chased him away. Mr. Durong even called to check in on her, and got yelled at too. When Kay got home, she saw Prey being gifted a limited edition car by her sugar daddy, along with promises to buy her a new apartment, making her green with envy. She, of course, didn't miss the opportunity to show off a bit, wanting Kay to taste failure. Kay went back to her room, furious, thinking to herself that she couldn't rely on just that young master alone. Kay went to the company, deliberately letting Arwit see her looking for an apartment. As expected, he offered to help her find one. During lunch break, they went to see a place. It had all the amenities and the price was affordable, so Kay was very satisfied. But because of her unstable job, Kay couldn't get a mortgage. Arwit generously offered to guarantee the purchase, so she could get the house. This made Kay very happy, and she immediately made the purchase. Waiting any longer might mean missing this good opportunity. To thank him, she offered to go to Arwit's house to cook dinner. While he was in the kitchen, she took the opportunity to take selfies and post them on social media. Naka saw these photos, and his heart was in turmoil. Every time he intended to leave Kay, she would deliberately reveal that she was with another man. This made him immediately throw those thoughts out the window and find a way to hold on to Kay. Kay was talking when Adam came in and interrupted. Hearing that the person on the other end was Kay, she angrily threw the phone to the ground, smashing it to pieces. The two argued fiercely. Only when Naka's mother came in did they stop. Over there, Kay couldn't get through and became furious. Was he really going to get married? Then all of her efforts would have been in vain. Thinking of this, she burst into tears. Just as Arwit came out, she squeezed out some tears and sobbed, complaining to him. He hugged the beauty and comforted her. Just then his wife came home and saw this scene. It turned out the maid had secretly told Arwit's wife about this. After being scolded thoroughly, Kay quietly packed her bag and left. But she wouldn't give up easily. She would do everything possible to get what she wanted. As Kay went outside, Arwit hurriedly chased after her. Kay acted like she was the victim, unable to bear such things. She cried and ran out to the main road. Everything was quiet, not even a motorcycle taxi in sight, so how could she get home? Arwit's wife passed by and mocked her for not even having a car, and only being able to rely on her own 2 feet to go anywhere. Kay had no choice but to call her best friend to pick her up. But it was already late. Chala couldn't leave home at this time. Kay wanted to invite Cha-La to the bar with her, but Cha-La refused, because May had an appointment to go to her friend's villa. It turned out that today Durong brought May to Cha-La's house. Thanks to her eloquent words, May successfully soothed Cha-La's mother. After all, she still trusted May's character more than Kayu's. After the two returned, Cha-La's mother returned her phone and allowed her to go to May's villa for one night. When Kayu learned that her best friend was going to someone else's villa, she demanded that Cha-La let her go with her. A friend from abroad, and with a villa, clearly a rich person. Going there, what kind of relationship couldn't be made? The next day, everyone gathered in front of Arwit's hotel. With May's agreement, Kayu dressed up extravagantly to join in the fun. Adam, May's friend, was also present on this trip. As the two were preparing to set off, Naka saw the transfer documents for the apartment from his mother. He then showed off his relationship with Adam to please her. May's villa was really big, making Kayu unable to restrain herself and reveal her true nature. Her eyes were as bright as car headlights, constantly praising it. She quickly chose the most beautiful room for herself. After taking some photos, Kayu went to the beach to play. Before long, Adam and Naka also came. Adam wanted a room with an ocean view, but Cha-La had already chosen it. She didn't hide her contemptuous gaze as she sized up Cha-La. Naka was walking around when he unexpectedly met Kayu here. Kayu thought he was following her. The two talked for a while and made up, and even hugged on the beach. That scene was seen by Cha-La. She also guessed a little bit who Kayu's boyfriend really was. Therefore, when Adam asked, Cha-La pointed her in a different direction. Everyone gathered to eat and drink for a while, but still didn't see Naka return. Even Kayu and Cha-La were missing. It wasn't until Cha-La called to remind her that she reluctantly agreed to return. Adam couldn't wait any longer, so she went to the beach to find Naka. Everyone was worried about Adam, so they followed her. Soon after, they discovered that her fiancé was with his mistress. She rushed at Naka and started hitting him. Kayu, seeing Cha-La's group approaching, rushed out and played the victim in front of them. Naka, in order to protect his lover, scolded Adam in front of her friends. After everyone returned to the villa, Adam blamed May for not knowing how to choose friends. She said that Cha-La, being Kayu's friend, was also the type of girl who loved money. Durong immediately defended his sweetheart. Although Adam was the victim in this situation, she was angry with irrelevant people, making everyone very annoyed. Naka went back to his room to get his suitcase and car keys, wanting to return to the city with Kayu. Cha-La didn't want Kayu to leave, but between her best friend and a man, she would choose the man. Cha-La said what she needed to say, and tried to stop her, but she didn't bother to stop them anymore. After calming down, Adam went to Naka's room, and discovered that he had disappeared. She looked in Cha-La's room but didn't find him either. The person was gone, but Kayu's luggage was here. Adam took her anger out on Cha-La, but Cha-La wasn't someone who could be easily bullied. Instead of chasing after that scumbag couple, Adam was here making a scene, wanting to kick Cha-La out, making May and everyone else very uncomfortable. Chorn, as soon as he got home, ran into his mother's room to look for the apartment transfer documents, but he couldn't find them and was discovered by his mother. Chorn left, and she was baffled, not understanding anything. Getting into the car with Kayu, they drove back to her house. He reassured his lover that he would try to resolve things with his mother in a few days, and they would both move into the apartment. Kayu was disappointed but bit her lip to see how things turned out. The party ended before it even started. May stayed to take care of Adam until the next day. While Durong drove Cha-La back to the hotel, she planned to rest in the employee room. But Durong generously booked her a private room so she could sleep comfortably. Kayu received an invitation to audition for an advertisement. She wanted Naka to go with her, but he was hiding from his mother and didn't want to go out, only lending her the car to go to work. Adam returned to Naka's house, painfully recounting everything. Naka's mother immediately postponed the engagement ceremony and prepared to punish her good-for-nothing son. Today, Kayu went to audition for the face of a media company. The interviewer was very satisfied with her performance. Kayu left in high spirits and bumped into the VIP client she had previously served. Unexpectedly, this company belonged to him. Naka's mother had frozen all bank accounts and confiscated all of his cars. To see how long Kei could tolerate this penniless young master, Naka was idle with nothing to do, and turned the house into a dump. Kei hid the disgust in her eyes, put on a coquettish expression, and demanded that Naka take her out to celebrate. But when buying a phone for her, Naka discovered that all of his cards had been locked. In the end, Kei had to pay for it herself. Even so, Naka went to buy new clothes. A young master never looked at prices when buying things, and bought all the latest styles. The smile on Kei's face gradually distorted. Over here, Durong was determined to get to know Chala. Therefore, he followed her all the way home, ate dinner with her and her mother, and even helped her with housework. At the hotel, the staff were gossiping about the room he booked for Chala last night. Unable to bear it, Chorn argued with them to protect his friend. Because of this, he was reprimanded by the manager and fired. From yesterday until now, Naka kept demanding to move into the apartment Kei had just bought, saying all sorts of reasons, like wanting what was best for her, which made Kei fed up. Chorn dejectedly came to give Kei his salary. Because he didn't have much money, he just slipped it under the door and left. The next day, Kei hadn't even held the money for long when she had to give Chorn some for pocket money. Just then, the media company called, telling her to come for a second audition. Unexpectedly, the person interviewing her today was her old client. Kei wanted to become an idol, while the director wanted her. In order to receive his promise to support her, Kei reluctantly agreed to serve him in the office. And Naka outside was waiting anxiously. Arwit's wife once said that girls like Kei could only sell their bodies to get what they wanted. Now Arwit saw that she wasn't wrong at all. Seeing the director groping Kei, Naka angrily rushed in wanting to hit him. After calming down, he discovered that his mother's assistant was here. Naka urged Kei to move into the new apartment quickly. Helpless, she had to go to the company for an internship. Fortunately, the house buying procedures were all completed, only needing some additional documents. Kei went to Arwit's office to thank him, and also made it clear that she wouldn't be with him unless he divorced his wife. Arwit didn't want Kei to be sad, so he was even more determined to resolve things with his wife as soon as possible. Over here, the assistant followed Naka to Kei's company. She lured him out of the car, and had someone drive the car away. She also kindly gave him another car to go home in. Prey happened to see them returning in the beat-up car, and spoke up sarcastically. She boasted that she was about to move into her boyfriend's villa. Kei wasn't willing to lose and immediately retorted, saying she was also about to move into a multi-million-dollar villa, and didn't need to entertain clients anymore, just needed to film ads to get by. This made Prey so angry she wanted to throw up, but she couldn't say anything. Chala went to confront Durong about Chorn getting fired. He only received a notification from the HR director, and didn't know the details of what happened. He had already compensated Chorn too. There was no point in her blaming him, Chala here. Chala sadly went to find Chorn. She happened to see her younger brother selling drugs to a group of students. The kid wanted to get rich quickly, didn't want to do laundry all his life like their mother, and didn't want to study his brains out like his sister, but not earn a dime. No matter what his sister and Chorn said, the kid wouldn't listen. In the evening, Arwit called his wife to sign the divorce papers. He didn't need any of her assets, just wanted her to give him freedom. But his wife firmly refused to sign. She also set a condition. She would consider it if Arwit moved his belongings out of the house and didn't take anything of hers. Kei took Naka to the new apartment. She urged him to contact his mother quickly, but Naka stubbornly refused, saying if he went home now, it would be admitting defeat, and he would never be allowed to leave again. So he would only go back when his mother begged him. Waiting for his mother to beg him, she might not have a single hair left on her head by then. Looking at the balance in her account, it wasn't enough to pay the mortgage for this month. The immediate priority was to make money. She called the media company to ask about the audition results, but learned that there were still no results. Having no other choice, she could only find the madam's phone number at the bar. In the evening, Naka was lying leisurely in bed watching a movie. He turned around and saw her wearing a sexy outfit, wanting to go out. Kei lied, saying there was a performance at night, and they needed someone to bring customers. Naka didn't want her to go out, but if she didn't work, they wouldn't have anything to eat, so he could only reluctantly agree. He didn't forget to ask her to compensate him before leaving. Kame went out to work after she was already busy at home, but her current clients were no longer as high quality as before. They were either eccentric or obese old men. But for the sake of money, she could only force a smile. After eating and drinking, she moved with the client. Unfortunately, Kay was entertaining clients at May's restaurant and was seen by her. Kay returned home with a tired body, taking today's earnings out of her bag. But compared to before, it was too little. After washing all the dirty things off her body, Kay returned to the bedroom. Seeing that Naka was already asleep, she wondered if her choices were right. The next day, she went to her familiar nightclub to find the madam. But unexpectedly, Adam saw her from afar. Kay sat down in her familiar spot, but the madam was no longer as enthusiastic as before. She impatiently told her to say what she wanted to say quickly. Kay expressed that she wanted her to continue arranging high-quality clients as before. But at this time, the madam saw that she hadn't been working for several months, and now someone had already replaced her. She said that she could only arrange those ugly old men for her now. She also said that there was no shortage of people here. Today, Chorn came to find Kay, but discovered that Kay had already moved. And Prey, seeing him at this time, kindly told him that Kay had moved to an apartment with her boyfriend. Outside, looking at the sign, she saw that the product she had auditioned for had already changed faces. Kay was stunned, feeling like she had been tricked but unable to do anything. While standing waiting for a taxi, she bumped into a pimp. He asked if she was looking for work. Seeing that this guy looked flippant and not rich, Kay didn't pay attention to him. It turned out he had a grudge against Madame Gu. Therefore, when he saw Kay, he immediately recognized her as a VIP. He offered Kay to work for him. It turned out he was the big boss of a different bar area, and the business was doing very well. Kay had heard of it before and agreed to take his business card. He also said Madame Gu was greedy, taking 3 parts every time she serviced a customer, but over here they paid 6 parts. And there was no need to work a fixed schedule. That place was just as famous as G's nightclub. Kay didn't answer immediately, but her eyes already showed that she was wavering. Getting into the car to leave, unexpectedly, Kay received good news. She went to the media company, and unexpectedly saw Naka's mother coming out of the boss's office. Seeing her smiling meaningfully, she felt something was up. Sure enough, the director made a demand. If she broke up with her boyfriend and got together with him, she could have whatever she wanted. Saying that for a girl like Kay, being a mistress of a married man wasn't anything strange. Hearing this, Kay angrily left. If this wasn't Naka's mother's doing, then whose else could it be? The more she thought about it, the more it drove her crazy. She suddenly thought of something, and called to arrange a meeting with Boss Arwat. She showed more affection, making Arwat very happy. He announced that he had resolved things with his wife. Now the two of them could officially be together. This news caught her off guard. She could only pretend to be happy, basking in happiness. Chorn, after knowing that he had been cheated on, went to borrow alcohol to relieve his sorrows. In the end, it was still Chala who spent a lot of effort to get him home. And while he was drunk, he saw Chala as Kame. He kissed her and called out Kay's name. Chala was tortured by this unrelenting feeling indescribable pain. Over here, after eating, Arwat said he wanted to take her to a secret place. Unexpectedly, Arwat actually brought her home to meet his family. Looking at the houses in front of her that were no different from slums, Kay had a bad feeling in her heart. Entering the house with a ton of torn shoes in front of the door, Arwat introduced everyone to her. Kay reluctantly sat down next to them. Only now did she realize that, in order to divorce his wife, this guy had agreed to leave with nothing. Now he was living back at home with his mother and brother's family. The smile on Kay's face disappeared completely. Why did all of her spare tires get punctured? Looking at the harmonious family inside, everyone was looking forward to the child in her sister-in-law's belly. Kay didn't feel the warm atmosphere of the family, but suddenly a plan popped into her head. Returning home, looking at the pack of daily birth control pills, Kay had the thought of having a child with Naka. She used the excuse of wanting to use the child to mend Naka's relationship with his mother. But Naka expressed that he hadn't had enough fun yet. Naka pretended to think about Kame, saying if she had a child, she wouldn't be beautiful anymore. But Keo expressed that if having a child could solve this problem, she would be willing to give birth to a child for him. At night, Keo continued to get ready to go to work. Unexpectedly, Adam came just as she left. Naka opened the door and seeing Adam, didn't understand why she came all the way here. He begged her to let him go, but Adam said she only came to see a joke. She just wanted to see how it felt for him to be cheated on. She asked him if he knew why Keo always went out to work at night. What exactly did she do that made her come home so late every day? Naka thought that Adam was deliberately provoking him, wanting to divide their feelings, so he chased her away. Seeing that her goal had been achieved, Adam confidently left. The next day, Chorn woke up and called Chala, but she didn't answer. Seeing that she was in a bad mood, Durone came to chat. Then he persuaded Chala to agree to go to May's birthday costume party. On the other hand, Chorn couldn't get in touch, so he went to the hotel to find Chala. He asked her about what happened last night. Chala didn't want to mention it, so she ignored him and hid in a corner, silently shedding tears. Durone witnessed this scene and understood something. Because of Adam's words yesterday, Naka began to interrogate Keo about her night work. Keo couldn't answer, so she could only pretend to lament, saying she had to go to work to support him. Only then did Naka let her go. Although she was very angry at Chorn, seeing him lower himself to beg, and even invite her to dinner this afternoon, Chala once again softened, forgiving Chorn. Over here, Durone directly asked Chala if she liked Chorn. At the same time, he wanted her to give him a chance. But Chala didn't answer the question, making Durone very sad. Today, Naka again demanded to go to work with Kame. She had to give him almost all of the money before he would obediently stay at home. With no money to spend, Kay went to Chorn. "Why didn't you come to find me? You made me wait so long." "Wait," but moved away without saying a word, isn't it right? But Kay had already thought of a solution, saying she came here to explain this, saying if he had time, to go back to the room to talk. Looking at the watch, it was almost time for his date with Chala, but he ultimately agreed with Kame. Returning to the room, with just a few intimate actions, Chorn stupidly took out all the little money in his card and offered it to her. At the time of the dinner date, Chala waited and waited but didn't see Chorn anywhere. When she called, it was Kame who answered the phone. It was all just her being delusional. And Kay, after receiving the money, immediately disappeared, not forgetting to give him a kiss so she could come get more next time. Going outside, Kay immediately called the owner of her familiar handbag shop. And Chorn was still immersed in the kiss from before. Forgetting all about his date with Chala, Naka idly went to look at clothes. Seeing a piece he liked, but when he saw the price, he stopped. In the past, she could throw money around to buy things, but not anymore. Walking out of the store in despair, she unexpectedly had her mother witness everything. Kay entered the nightclub with a new bag. For a better future, she had to try her best. Unexpectedly, as she hurried inside, she was mocked by her colleagues. Why did she still have to work here when she had a rich boyfriend? Seeing the two constantly mocking her, Kay refused to be outdone, saying that whatever the case, she was better than the two of them. After all, they weren't in the same league. Hearing this, Orn was furious and immediately wanted to attack Kay. But she didn't care, directly walked inside, and politely greeted Madame Gu. Looking at the meager amount of money, she had no choice but to accept. Gu then revealed other news. In order to prevent employees from jumping ship, she required all girls to sign a contract. If she didn't sign, she wouldn't get good clients. Gu also asked her when she would sign the contract. The sooner she signed, the sooner she would get good clients. At this time, Prey pretended to walk by, looked at Kay's bag and said it was exactly like the one she just bought. She also showed off her wealth, saying she didn't know which one was beautiful, but she bought it just because it was expensive. Gu, standing next to her, didn't forget to remind her that Prey had already signed the contract. As for Kame, because she was thinking about the pimp from a few days ago, she was still considering it. But Madame saw that she had no intention of signing, and immediately turned hostile, saying that if she didn't have a contract, she wouldn't have a place here. She also arranged for her to entertain group clients. Once again, Kay hated receiving group orders like this, but she had absolutely no chance to choose. Unexpectedly, as she reached the door of the nightclub, she was noticed by a man. This guy was her old high school classmate, the one who took her home in the first episode. When he saw Kay, he was immediately dazzled. He asked the girl next to him. The girl didn't want to mention this, but because of the customer's request, she had no choice but to say Kay also worked here. Confirming this, the young man seemed very pleased. Today, Cha-La accepted Durong's invitation to the costume party. Cha-La was wearing a maid outfit. She felt that she was more suitable for it than those gorgeous clothes. She also wanted to show Durong the huge distance between the two of them, but he didn't care, and still went to the party with her. Adam was also present here. She mocked Cha-La in the middle of the party, saying if she was Kay's friend, her character wouldn't be much better. Adam wanted to humiliate Cha-La in front of everyone. Unexpectedly, this guy was also there and heard it. He quickly went to find Adam to ask what was going on. Durong took Cha-La home. He wasn't like those other people, discriminating and despising her circumstances. This made Cha-La very grateful. But in reality, the gap between them was too big. Yet Durong didn't care about that. He thought there was no distance in love. So their lips were pressed together, no distance. Returning to her room, she clearly felt the difference from the kiss of painful unrequited love to the kiss of sincere affection. In the middle of the night, Chorn remembered that he had missed his date with Cha-La, and guiltily texted her an apology. The next day, Kay went to the hotel to meet a customer. Unexpectedly, that person was her old high school classmate. Although there had been a period of ambiguity, he had never gotten to touch Kay. Therefore, when he knew she worked in this industry, he didn't hesitate to spend a large amount of money to enjoy it. Chorn went to the hotel to find Cha-La to explain. But she didn't say anything, only took Durong's hand and left. Durong knew that Cha-La loved Chorn, but he was confident that he could help her forget that person. In a moment of emotion, Durong hugged Cha-La tightly. Accidentally, it was seen by another employee. Naka went home to meet his mother, hoping that she would accept Kay for the sake of her grandchild. But as long as it was her, Naka's mother would never agree. She also wanted him to go back and see if that girlfriend of his was really a prostitute, as she said. The two of them went to dinner together. Cha-La wanted to keep her distance from Durong. She didn't want to become the person her colleagues were always gossiping about. But Durong understood what kind of person she was. He didn't care so much about that, as long as she was herself. These words made Cha-La very moved. People say, if you want to, you will find a way. If you don't want to, you will find a reason. Cha-La repeatedly gave all sorts of difficult reasons, but Durong had a way to solve them all. She couldn't fail to see such sincere affection, no matter how stupid she was. After dinner, Durong took Cha-La all the way home, and even took the opportunity to please his future mother-in-law, making Cha-La's mother very satisfied. However, she still reminded her daughter not to be in love at this time. Chorn came to Cha-La's house, but she was determined not to give him any face anymore. Today, Kay went to work at night again. This time, Naka was determined to find out the truth. After she left, Naka secretly drove after her. Unexpectedly, they went to a hotel. Not knowing which room Kay entered, he paced back and forth in confusion. Just then, he saw Kay come out to talk on the phone. She was very angry, telling the madam that the customer dared to ask her to do group sex. Kay was no longer a goose that laid golden eggs, so she didn't allow Kay to refuse her arrangements. Kay could only sullenly go to buy condoms and return to the hotel. Naka, following her, had witnessed everything. Naka slowly recalled everything Kay had said. He was pained by being deceived. He immediately made a phone call. After finishing, Kay had never felt so dirty. But the money was really good. Just this last time, and then that's it. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. It was the police. She frantically hid under the bed. Luckily, she wasn't discovered. Kay had never struggled so much as today. Cheated out of her money by the madam, and also kicked out of the nightclub in front of the two people she hated. Returning home, she was beaten by Naka for discovering the truth. But Kay's nightmare had only just begun. Seeing Naka's mother, Kay went crazy. All of her efforts had gone down the drain. Her dream of marrying into a wealthy family had vanished into thin air. Because he couldn't get in touch with Kay for the past few days, Arwit had come to the apartment to find Kay. This man had given up his family property, so she had given up hope on him. She no longer had the mood to act and immediately revealed her true colors, showing contempt for Arwit. The words his ex-wife had said, every word and every sentence, flashed through his mind. Both men were now enjoying happiness with their wives and girlfriends. Only because they got involved with people like Kay, they lost everything. Perhaps Chorn was more fortunate than Arwit, because he had a wealthy family. At this time, Kay discovered that her followers had decreased significantly. She hurriedly called Bright to ask. It turned out he had pulled a trick, wanting to create an opportunity for Kay to come to school to meet him. In order to increase her followers, she agreed to go to dinner with Bright. She just happened to meet Vit here. He used the fact that Kay was a prostitute to threaten her, wanting her to serve him right at school. Their conversation and ambiguous actions were heard by Bright. He then went to tell Vit's girlfriend and showed her the photos. Just as Cha-La was passing by, she snatched Cha-La's phone to call Kay. She used Cha-La as a threat, wanting Kay to come to them. But Kay clearly abandoned Cha-La and didn't come. Bright pretended not to know what was going on, and invited Kay to a hotel to increase her followers. As soon as they entered the room, he wanted to do that with her. Kay had always seen Bright as a disabled person. Therefore, even if he gave her money, she wouldn't want to do it with him. He threatened to let everyone know the truth, but Kay didn't care. She wasn't much better now anyway. Durong drove Cha-La home, and saw her younger brother being beaten by a group of thugs. Durong quickly took him to the hospital, taking care of everything, making Cha-La very grateful. Before now, Cha-La had always taken on everything herself. The feeling of having someone help like this was really good. Over here, Bright posted Kay's photos and phone number for soliciting services online, causing a stir. Chorn didn't dare to believe it, and even went to question that friend. Chorn couldn't get in touch, so he went to Kay's school to find her, but learned that Kay had dropped out in her second year. Chorn went to find Cha-La, blaming her for not telling him. Cha-La said she had stopped him many times, but it was because he didn't want to understand. No longer being able to work at Madame G's nightclub, Kay went to find Jacoby, wanting him to take her abroad as he had said. In the meantime, Kay also contacted the pimp from last time, wanting to earn some money at his place. Kay fantasized that she was still a high-class girl, and even set conditions for the pimp. He readily agreed, only taking one share from her. But before that, he had to test Kay's skills first. Compared to the pimp, Kay was still too inexperienced and naive. She didn't realize that the room she had just entered was a dead end. Inside, there weren't just two people, but also many hidden cameras. Having grasped Kay's weakness, after inspecting the goods, the next day, he immediately turned hostile, making her change clothes in front of him, and had to wear a tight, revealing mini dress. All of the conditions from yesterday were thrown out the window. If Kay resisted, what awaited her was a ticket to sleep with June. No longer a VIP, Kay had to pour drinks like the other girls. She had to share half of any extra money given by customers with him. She didn't get to hear any more sweet-talking coaxing. After the customer left, he directly came to find Kay to take the money. When Kay refused, he gave her several slaps like thunderbolts. When she wanted to quit, the pimp took out the hidden camera videos to threaten her. Before, Kay charged 20,000 baht each time she serviced a customer, but now it was only 10,000 baht. And the pimp took half of that. To make Kay know her place and submit to him, he didn't hesitate to use violence in bed with her, directly taking action in her house. Kay wasn't willing to accept this. She seduced the customer, saying that the service wasn't good and she didn't get extra tips, so she didn't have to share with the pimp. But Kay was too naive. What kind of person was he? The pimp quickly found the money in Kay's clothes. She had to cry and beg for mercy before he let her off this time. Waiting and waiting, Jacoby still hadn't replied. Kay had to shamelessly call Prey, asking her to arrange for her to meet the madam. But Prey didn't like Kay either, and didn't want to help. But because Kay humbly begged, she had to agree. Orn was delighted to hear this, and excitedly wanted to tell the madam to watch the fun. Out of respect for his darling girl, the madam agreed to meet Kay. She begged to be allowed to come back and work here. But the madam had lost 1 billion baht from the pimp's place. Asking her to fight against him now was impossible. Kay knelt down and begged, but the madam didn't want to see her anymore. She threatened that if she didn't leave, she would have someone take her to the pimp. Seeing that begging didn't work, Kay immediately turned hostile. The madam said she was reaping what she sowed. When she was doing well at first, she greedily wanted to become the daughter-in-law of a wealthy family, and left, and now she was coming back. Who would take her in? Kay painfully called Cha-la. But before she arrived, the pimp came first. Having met Cha-la at Kay's house once, the pimp had always regretted her beauty. He invited Cha-la to come work with them. Kay refused, but the pimp always had a way to refute her. Arriving at the place, Kay had to say a lot before Cha-la agreed to leave. She hadn't gone far when she saw her friend being beaten. Cha-la felt that something wasn't right. Just then, some police officers were patrolling, and she reported that someone was detaining her friend, forcing her to work. But what could the police do to the pimp? Every month, their superiors received a lot of money from the pimp. Seeing Cha-la meddling in his business, this guy had it out for her. If he met her again, she would definitely be in danger. Cha-la didn't know how to save Kay, and could only go to find Chorn. After so many things had happened, Chorn no longer went all out for her. Not only Kay, but other girls were also controlled by the pimp in some way. One girl revealed that in addition to the phone, the pimp also stored their videos in a guarded location. Kay, after investigating, learned the location. Taking advantage of the pimp not having returned yet, she followed and bribed his henchman. He had nothing to do, so he came to check if Kay was hiding money. After he finished, he slept at her house. In the middle of the night, Kay secretly unlocked his phone and deleted the video. Over here, Durong enthusiastically helped Cha-la's family. Not only did he care about her younger brother, but he also helped her buy things for her family. Even so, Cha-la's mother didn't want to be indebted to this kindness. She didn't want to be seen as a gold digger with Durong. Those things were small matters, but for their family, they were big matters. And he probably didn't care what other people thought because he didn't live here. Under Cha-la's mother's words, Durong finally had to accept that Cha-la would go to work to earn money to pay him back. The next morning, Kay got the news that the pimp was away, so she went to the bar to sweet-talk his right-hand man into opening the pimp's office. But little did she know, this was a trap. Just as she found the hard drive, the pimp appeared. He was a real mafia boss, not just some common pimp. Her little tricks were just child's play to him. The lovesick right-hand man was immediately dragged out and dealt with. And Kay faced a nightmare. She was beaten to a pulp. Under his kicks and punches, Kay couldn't take it anymore and passed out. When she woke up, she found herself locked in a dark, dilapidated warehouse. Over here, what Cha-la's mother feared happened. Envious neighbors started gossiping about Cha-la, making her mother very annoyed. Durong asked his mother to hire Cha-la as his assistant, but she refused. Seeing that she was transferred to the customer service department, the other employees took the opportunity to cause trouble for Cha-la. Chorn, over here, tossed and turned all night and couldn't sleep. Remembering the memories between them, he still couldn't accept such a painful truth. Chorn followed the address Cha-la gave him to the bar to find Kay, but how could he find her? Remembering the countless times Kay begged for forgiveness, but still constantly resisted and continued to make mistakes, this time, the pimp decided to take drastic measures to make Kay completely give up the thought of resisting. His mother warned Cha-la not to associate with Durong. Her mother would let it slide, just reminding her to be mindful. But as for Chorn, she absolutely forbade it. Just then, Chorn came to find Cha-la. Her mother had just mentioned him when he magically appeared. This guy was too supernatural. He spoke up to defend her, only making Cha-la's mother more uncomfortable. Cha-la, next to her, could only say everything to make her mother believe her and not make things difficult anymore. Knowing that Chorn couldn't find Kay, and that's why he came here, Cha-la tried to call, but the pimp answered. After hanging up, he gave Kay a condition. He wanted her to make Cha-la come to work here. That way, he would delete all of Kay's videos and let her go. If she refused, She would have to stay here eating leftovers, not allowed to go outside. Over here, Chala hadn't confirmed whether Kay was being held captive or not. The two decided to go investigate together. The next day, Chala went to the apartment to find Kay, while Chorn went to the bar to investigate. Whoever found the person first would tell the other person. Perhaps the luckiest thing Kay had, besides her appearance, was these two friends. Kay stubbornly refused to call Chala. Therefore, the pimp had confiscated all of her handbags, phones, and watches. Even her earrings weren't spared. Kay's last bit of reason had been extinguished. She called Chala, crying and wanting Chala to wait for her in the apartment lobby. Over here, Chorn was about to enter the bar when the pimp came out. Chorn hurriedly hid, but without realizing it, he had dropped his phone in his confusion. Not only that, but the pimp picked up the phone. During the day, the bar was empty, so Chorn quickly found Kay and freed her. Kay was inside the house. She was scared and panicked. Seeing Chorn walk in like light shining into a dark place, Kay hurriedly rushed into his arms, sobbing uncontrollably. There wasn't much time, and the two quickly ran away. The henchman, seeing that the person had escaped, hurriedly chased after them. Finally, the two hid in a dumpster to escape the pursuit of the guards. Over here, the pimp went to the apartment complex, using the excuse that Kay was busy to lure Chala onto the car with him. Although Chala didn't believe him, she had to follow him in order to find out Kay's whereabouts. After Kay escaped, Chorn took her back to his house. Whether it was because she was too scared or because she simply didn't care about this friend, she didn't mention that Chala was in danger because of her. Luckily, Chala was smart and had planned ahead. Before entering the bar, Chala sent her location to Durong. Durong received the news and called. Chala silently pressed answer and put the phone in her pocket. The pimp heard the news that Kay had escaped and turned hostile. It was too late for Chala to run. However, Durong on the other end of the line had heard everything. He went to the bar to demand her release but was kicked out. Remembering something, Durong called May, wanting to ask her police officer brother for help. Although Chala was strong, her strength wasn't that of a man, making it difficult to fight back. She tried to ambush the pimp, but failed. She also learned from him that she had fallen into the lion's den because of her best friend. Indeed, best friends are every man for himself. Just as he was making a move on Chala, May arrived in time with her brother to the bar to demand her release. They also brought a search warrant, making it impossible for anyone to stop them. Finding Chala, the police escorted the pimp and his group to the precinct. The bar was closed for 3 months, losing so much money. The pimp couldn't swallow this anger and immediately blamed everything on Kay. The next day, taking advantage of Chorn going to work, Kay rummaged through his belongings and found a gold ring. She went to the slums and just happened to meet Chala on the way. Chala was furious when she saw her. Things had come to this, and from now on, they were no longer friends. What a waste that Chala had always protected her. The pimp had people stationed in front of her house to catch Kay. Having no other choice, she had to return to Chorn's house. Unexpectedly, she ran into his aunt. She was mocked by her in front of so many people. Uncle, seeing the beautiful girl, his eyes immediately lit up. When Chorn came home from work, Kay kept demanding that Chorn buy her a new house. But all of his savings had already been given to Kay. Now there was only a hair tie left. What else did he have to demand? Chala remembered the times Durong had helped her. She decided to open her heart to him. There was only one problem that Chala was always worried about, and that was whether Durong had a fiancé. Durong was very trustworthy, and confirmed to her that he didn't have anyone, only her. This made Chala very happy and relieved. However, as expected, a man's words couldn't be trusted. Just a few minutes later, when the marketing director arrived, seeing how close she was with Durong, Chala felt a little let down. The next day, as soon as Chorn left, Uncle came to the room to find Kay. Seeing him, Kay continued to be scared to death. She hurriedly closed the door, not letting him in. But he said that as long as she let him have his way, she could have whatever she wanted. Over here, the pimp had been waiting for days, but still didn't see Kay anywhere. He decided to stay at Kay's apartment. While rummaging, the pimp accidentally saw the business card of the director of the media company. The next day, Chorn again came to find Chala, wanting her to help him earn money because Keo needed a new house. Chala was speechless. Even if Chala told the truth that Keo didn't love Chorn at all, he would blindly not believe it. She was too tired. Once or twice was because of the other person, but if it happened multiple times, it was because she was stupid. Chala really didn't have any hope anymore. That night, Uncle, while Aunt was sound asleep, stole her money and brought it to Keo. She also gave him Chorn's gold ring, asking Uncle to pawn it for her. Only after it was done did she agree to let him have his way. Just then Chorn returned. Keo again showed her acting talent, pretending to be distressed and saying that Uncle came to collect her father's debt. Over here, Chala felt that reality was different from what her mother taught her. Doing good didn't bring rewards, only suffering and trouble for herself. Her mother comforted her, saying she would be proud as long as she didn't get swept away by the muddy currents of society now. She reminded her to always remember not to forget herself. Finally, Jacoby replied to Kame. He said he was coming to Thailand soon, and asked Keo to meet him at the old place. Keo was overjoyed. If she could follow Jacoby abroad, she wouldn't have to worry about food and clothing anymore. The next day, as soon as Chorn went to school, Uncle brought money. Keo tricked him into taking a bath first, and then went to Aunt to tell her that Uncle was sleeping with a girl. She also thanked her for taking the household money for her. Needless to say how angry Aunt was, she immediately stormed over. Uncle was beaten by his wife on the spot, causing an uproar in the building. Today, Keo went to work as an MC at an event, as arranged by the talent scout. And yet she met Naka, Adam and his mother here. Seeing Naka wearing a wedding ring and sitting intimately next to Adam, Keo was very uncomfortable. While she was in great pain in the restroom, she didn't know why the pimp knew she was here, and came to threaten her to go with him. As she was going outside, she unexpectedly bumped into Naka. Although he saw the tied hands under her coat, he chose to pretend he didn't see it, intentionally not recognizing a familiar face. This made Keo very desperate. Luckily, while going down to the parking lot, Keo seized the opportunity to push the pimp down and ran out, taking a taxi and running away. Naka was happily returning home when he saw his house had turned into a mess. Hearing the neighbors' stories, he became even more worried about Keo. This guy was truly blind. Things had come to this, and he was still worried about her. Keo took a taxi to the hotel to find Jacoby, but he still hadn't arrived. It just so happened that Chala was working at the front desk. She went outside intending to call Chorn, and accidentally saw Durong and the marketing director together, looking very intimate. While before that, he had promised to take her home later. After calling for so long but not getting through, Chorn went to Keo's aunt to ask what was going on, and learned that she had not only taken 30,000 baht from Uncle, but also pawned the engagement ring he had saved up so long to get. This made him a little unbelievable. At the hotel, Keo finally waited for Jacoby to arrive. She told Jacoby all about her difficulties, feeling wronged. Exceeding expectations, he offered Keo to stay with him, not only giving her money like always, but Jacoby also promised not to abandon her, making Keo overjoyed. Chorn couldn't contact Keo at home. He also saw her email with Jacoby. He was very afraid that Jacoby would take Keo away. The next day, Durong took Chala to work. She couldn't help but ask if he had something to hide from her. But Durong was very firm, saying he didn't hide anything from her at all, only her. While Jacoby was at work, Keo was bored and opened his documents to look at, not knowing what they were, but midway, Jacoby came back. Seeing her doing something shady, he warned her not to touch his papers. His appearance made Keo very scared. That noon, the two went downstairs to have lunch with Durong and the marketing director. Keo could tell at a glance that the two of them weren't just colleagues. What's more, when she learned that she was Cha La's friend, the marketing director didn't hide her contempt. After getting out of school, Chorn went to the hotel to find Kame, and ran into her walking with Jacoby. This guy had an unusual amount of tolerance. After so many things had happened, he still hadn't woken up. Chorn expressed that he loved Keo very much. Loved her so much that he accepted her being a prostitute, accepted her selling the ring he had saved up so long to get. He even planned to use it to propose to her. But Keo said she still only saw Chorn as a friend. From beginning to end, she didn't love him. At this point, she no longer wanted to act, and directly expressed her point of view. The person she would rely on for the rest of her life had to be someone wealthy, with a place in society. And obviously, Chorn couldn't do that. She would rather give up her friendship, give up this spare tire, than leave Jacoby. Seeing Chorn's pain, Chala could only hug him to comfort him. In the meantime, while Chorn, like a soulless body, was being taken home by Chala, Kay was trying her best to make Jacoby feel satisfied. Seeing her obedient expression and beautiful face, the guy seemed quite pleased with her. As expected, he offered to take her abroad to live. Kay, on the outside, still put on a shy appearance, but inside, she was ecstatic. She served him very enthusiastically. Over here, while Kay was happy, Chorn was incredibly heartbroken. Since that day, Chorn hadn't bothered to do anything, just lying like a lump as if he was dead. Chala looked at the person she had unrequited feelings for, feeling helpless. She asked him 10 questions, and he only answered 1. He didn't eat, didn't drink. He just thought of Kame, and washed his face with tears. This love affair, from beginning to end, was all him being delusional. On the other hand, Kay's dream of going to the West was about to come true. She started buying new clothes, outfits suitable for the cold weather over there. She was in a very good mood. Today, Durong came to find Chala, but she still had the relationship between him and the marketing director on her mind. Plus, her beloved one was heartbroken, not caring about his health. Chala's spirits were a little low. Arriving at the hotel, seeing Kay happily shopping back, while Chorn was struggling, not wanting to live anymore, Chala couldn't help but question her old friend. Unexpectedly, she was snapped back by Kay, scolding her as the mistress of the hotel director. Kay told Chala that the marketing director was his wife. Not only that, but they had just gotten married. Now in everyone's eyes, Chala was the mistress. These words reminded Chala of May's avoiding eyes, and the marketing director's veiled words. She immediately rushed to the room to find Durong. The marketing director was here too. She admitted that she was Durong's wife. Only because Durong instructed her not to spread the word, did everyone not say anything about it and hide it from Chala. She even showed Chala their wedding photos to increase credibility. Looking at it, she was surprised. It was the same outfit Durong had worn on the day she got into trouble. Chala couldn't control her anger. She said she was poor, but she still had her own dignity. This place was so luxurious, but inside it was extremely rotten. All that was just the gaudiness covering up the lies. She angrily took off her uniform and high heels, taking her wounded heart to Chorn's house. She kicked him out of his own den and occupied it, forcing him to temporarily put aside his pain and take care of Chala. That night, Jacoby proposed to Kay to go abroad with him as his wife. Kay was ecstatic when she heard this. She fantasized that she was being proposed to and would live happily ever after abroad. However, to go abroad, she needed a passport, and her passport was at the apartment. To guard against the pimp still being there, Kay could only hire someone to go up to the house and take a look. Besides the scattered belongings, there wasn't a soul in the house. After being confirmed by him, Kay quickly packed her belongings and identification. But unexpectedly, she couldn't escape fate. As she reached the elevator, she ran into the pimp who had been waiting for her. Fortunately, Kay managed to get back and lock the door. He became impatient and kept banging on the door. She hurriedly called Jacoby and Chorn, but neither of them answered. Luckily, the security guard arrived in time and took the pimp to the lobby. On the other hand, Durong arrived, seeing Chala and Chorn laughing and talking happily, and became jealous. He ran over and gave Chorn a punch. He also questioned if she really loved him. Chala was too disappointed in Durong and immediately kicked him out. She didn't want to hear any explanations here anymore. Feeling that enough time had passed, Kay went down to the apartment by the fire escape. However, she had underestimated the pimp. The pimp at the security room had seen all the camera images and knew what she was doing. Kay was beaten unconscious. When she woke up again, she was in the pimp's office. Kay couldn't miss the opportunity to go abroad with Jacoby. She used every means to beg the pimp to let her go. She would do whatever the pimp wanted, as long as he let her go. All night, Chala didn't return, making her mother very worried. Her mother was about to continue to teach her a lesson with kicks and punches. But she saw that Chala didn't say anything. She just took her hand and cried. In fact, Chala had thought that if she became Durong's wife, she could take her family out of poverty. But Chala couldn't do it. Her mother encouraged her, saying what she wanted was a lot, but what they needed, they already had. She didn't have to lose herself because of that. In order to escape this hell, Keo gritted her teeth and endured, agreeing to serve 5 customers at once for the pimp. But when it was over, he turned hostile. He wasn't satisfied and wanted her to continue working here until she was exhausted. Jacoby returned and didn't see anyone. He called Kame, but the pimp answered the phone. Chorn sat alone in his room thinking. He calmly remembered what had happened, what Durong had said, as well as Cha La's attitude. It seemed that he was only realizing something now. He had missed a lot. Jacoby scheduled a meeting with the pimp at the hotel. He wanted to redeem Keo at all costs. The pimp set the price at 2 million baht. Jacoby readily agreed without any hesitation. Was it because Keo's value was so high or because Jacoby had so much money? The pimp wondered what Keo had that made this person so insistent. All Jacoby did was give a meaningful smile. This smile couldn't help but make people think deeply. When Chala got home, she saw Durong had been here all along. He even gave her younger brother a new watch. He explained that he didn't love the marketing director at all. He married her, but he only loved Chala. Hearing these words made Chala even angrier. It was better if he hadn't said anything. Saying so only made her want to hit him. Chala didn't agree to be a third party. Only if she was crazy would she accept becoming someone whom everyone despised. Durong brazenly thought that as long as it could make her family well off, why wouldn't she become a mistress? Cha La's mother heard everything inside, and directly threw a bucket of water on his face, along with curses. Cha La's younger brother also returned the watch and phone to him. Even though they were poor, they could still support themselves. They didn't need to rely on others. Over here, as agreed, Keo was returned to Jacoby. After packing her luggage, Keo didn't forget to take a selfie, announcing that she was about to go abroad. She now saw Jacoby as her god, the person who had made her dreams come true. All the difficulties, suffering, and tears had been repaid. Before leaving, Keo wanted to meet Chala one last time, but she had already quit her job. After boarding the plane, Keo and Jacoby arrived at a small apartment. She was a little disappointed because it was smaller than her apartment, but being able to live comfortably without having to work hard, Keo could bear it. The next morning, before going to work, Jacoby secretly took Keo's passport with him, without her knowing anything. Waiting for him to leave, she went downstairs to the market. But it was a little confusing that there were 2 men who were always following her. Although they were only looking from afar without doing anything, Keo felt strangely uneasy. After realizing Cha La's feelings, Chorn discovered that every word and gesture of hers cared about him and understood him clearly. Looking back at himself, Chorn blamed himself a lot. He decided to understand Chala and open his heart to her. It seemed that a beautiful ending was already set. Over here, Keo was idle with nothing to do. Today, she wasn't being followed by those 2 strangers either. Keo got dressed, intending to go out to take photos, when she discovered that her passport had disappeared. Just then, Jacoby sent a message, and Keo had to put that aside for the moment. May came to see Chala to apologize for what happened with Durong. Because she saw him as too sincere, she had assisted Durong. May sincerely apologized and hoped Chala would forgive her. She suddenly remembered that Cha La's younger brother had been talking to someone just now. Chala worried that her younger brother would go back to his old ways. It turned out that he had brought Chorn into her sister's room. Seeing her picture in Cha La's room, Chorn was even more certain of his decision. He would stay in Bangkok with Chala and wouldn't go back to his hometown. He also had new plans for his future. While eating, Keo asked Jacoby about her passport, but he pretended to be stupid, acting like he didn't know anything. He even advised her to find a job to do. Keo then started to suspect Jacoby. Therefore, she secretly opened his suitcase to take a look. Unexpectedly, there were many passports inside, but not hers. Keo also saw the USB she had seen before. Seeing something was shady, Keo secretly hid it. After returning, Jacoby announced that tomorrow night they would move to a new house and wanted Keo to pack her luggage. The next day, while he was out, Keo opened the USB to take a look. The video inside reminded her of Prey taking uncensored photos to send to customers. However, because she wasn't chosen that time, Prey didn't get to go abroad. The unease in Keo's heart grew stronger and stronger. From beginning to end, Jacoby hadn't said anything about what job she would be doing here. She was even more surprised that the two strangers who were always following her were his people. Afterwards, Keo was put on a car with other girls. There was no paradise here. Keo was still in hell, only she had been brought to a deeper level. She thought she had escaped the dragon's lair, but unexpectedly she was taken to the tiger's den. Keo couldn't believe what was happening. At the same time, Chorn and Cha-La in their hometown were dating and graduated. Cha-La's mother had also accepted him as her son-in-law. Keo hated Jacoby to the core. Seeing him, she only wanted to tear him apart. The things that happened, the words that were said, appeared like a movie in Keo's mind. Time and time again, she gave up the people who treated her well to pursue those far-fetched, superficial things, repeatedly causing them to be hurt. Then, when she looked back, there was no one around her. She herself fell into a state of eternal destruction. Every day, she painfully entertained clients. Here, she no longer had the right to choose her customers. Now it wasn't handsome, rich guys but tall, burly Western clients. If she didn't entertain them, she would be brutally tortured. One girl stole a customer's phone. Keo immediately used it to call the consulate, but only managed to plead for help for a few sentences before a guard appeared. The ending of that girl made Keo's blood run cold. Here, as long as there was any act of resistance or desire to escape, there was only one result. Keo was haunted by that girl's ending so much that she hallucinated that the consulate had received the distress signal and sent the police to rescue them. But the truth was that no one came. The harsh reality slapped Keo's face painfully. She regretted it to the point of gut-wrenching pain. If only she hadn't been so greedy, if only she had known what was enough, she wouldn't have had this ending. While the other girls began to accept their fate and quietly worked, Keo went crazy, resisting frantically, not wanting to entertain clients. This made her get punched more than she ate. In contrast, back home, Naka happily got married to Adam. Arwat had opened his own travel company. Chorn also proposed to Cha-La and became one family with her. Away from Keo, everyone lived much better. Chorn and Cha-La both became teachers, and even bought a new house for Cha-La's mother. Finally, because Keo stubbornly resisted, refusing to work, and this place had no shortage of women, the moment the picture of the three of them shattered was also the moment Keo died in a foreign land. After all, everyone had their own ending. It can be seen that ambition isn't bad, but ambition for things that don't belong to us, what awaits us is hell. The movie ends here. Don't forget to like and subscribe to not miss out on more amazing videos. For now, goodbye and until next time.